Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tabletop Gold live stream. My name is Lars Castine. I'm the host and game master on a actual play tabletop role-playing game podcast called Tabletop Gold. And in addition to that, we also do some streaming on Twitch. We're trying to figure out, exactly what it is that we're doing over here. But I stream video games, computer games, they're sometimes called. Games, I think children call them, that are related to tabletop role-playing games in one way or another. In the past, we've played sort of games that have systems that interact with each other and that have story on top of those systems. Like we played Inscription, which is a card game, like a collectible card game that has a story that unfolds over those systems. We played Citizen Sleeper, which is a game where you assign dice to accomplish tasks and then a story unfolds as you go. And we played Wildermyth, which is like a procedurally story-driven game where it's like you're given different vignettes, you make choices, and story emerges from that. Tonight, though, is a horse of a different color because it's October. It's time, as the children say, to get spooky. It's the spooky season, I've seen people saying. Back in my day, Halloween was a day. Back in my one day, that one day was Halloween. And you dressed up like a pirate, and you liked it. Now people are like stretching this thing out, trying to do spooky or spoopy, I've even heard, stuff an entire way through a month. It's indulgent, it's grotesque, and it's what the people want. So it's what I'm going to be doing for you tonight. I'm playing, a game that is going to be spooky and scary and all that stuff. 2, a game that, as far as I know, is basically not systems driven at all. This is a game that is a point-and-click adventure with pixel art in the style of perhaps your Sierra Online games, perhaps your LucasArts games, perhaps even an Interplay point-and-click adventure influence in there sometimes. The game that I'm playing tonight, that you're going to be joining me with, and I'm very pleased that you're here with me, is a game called The Excavation of Hobbs Barrow. I don't know much about this game, which is intentional. That's not me being lazy. I know just enough to get into trouble. And here's what I know. This game came out late last month, came out September 28th, published by Wadjet Eye Games. If you don't know them, they do a lot of heavily narrative-driven point-and-click adventure games in the sort of classical style as a developer, but they also publish other they also publish games by other developers. And this game is one of those. This is designed by a company, developed by a company called Cloak and Dagger Games, and it was published by Dave Gilbert of Wadjet Eye Games. I have played a couple Wadjet Eye games, and I have enjoyed them very much. It's a throwback to a kind of game that I loved as a kid. I grew up playing the Quest for Glory games, the King's Quest games, Day of the Tentacle, Maniac Mansion, all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm very excited to see a horror take on this game. I'm sure it's been done before. I'm not a big horror person, as I maybe alluded to earlier when I did my grumpy old man I hate Halloween spiel that you just heard. But regardless of whether or not I am a horror guy or whether or not this is something that I'm all equipped to do or anything else, we are tonight going to play this game, the Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, and I'm super pumped about it. So let's get into it. Let's do it. Let's make stuff happen. Okay. So one thing I need to tell you is that is that this game is a little bit funny with how it handles being alt-tabbed away from a window. I thought I had resolved all possible issues with that before starting, and I'll admit I was wrong. All right, check this out. Let me know if the audio mix... Oh, gosh, there's a jump scare. Great. Already perfect. I'm already losing my mind. Great. Perfect. let's do a little bit of a test. Just one more thing here to see if this thing's working. It is working. Fantastic. Great. We're back in business. Okay. Here we go. Let me know if the audio mix is off. Let me know if anything else is strange. And I'm going to be over here listening to this like spooky, like 80s, like heavy, like almost like Skinny Puppy-ish music that this game has in it. Right? This sounds like Skinny Puppy circa like 1983, 4. Catch my drift? There's another jump scare that also terrified me. Okay, here we go. This is, I'm enjoying a tall glass of Noah's Mill bourbon tonight. Delicious, delightful. That's too much. Here we go. Load game. I mean, new game. This is the first time I'm playing a game with voice acting in it on this stream, and I am thrilled to not have to just be reading text perfectly for, you know, 2 hours. I seem to be an umbrella lady in real life and in the game. An atmospheric beginning.
Ah, Miss Bateman. Welcome back to Ticehurst House. It's been quite some time.
Wirtz, I had no idea you listened to Skinny
Terrible
Puppy.
weather this evening, is it not? Nurse Blaketon has had enough of me smoking inside. Makes her cough, you see. A bit of rain won't kill me, will it? You mustn't be interested in me nattering on. Give my regards to your father. Nurse Blaketon is preparing his supper. You look pale, Miss Bateman. Do head inside. You'll catch your death out here.
Ooh, hard cut to a title screen. I have trouble sometimes with games with an aesthetic like this where I don't know if I find it evocative because it is evocative or because I'm nostalgic for it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mother.
Okay. Sorry, they're talking.
I hope this letter will reach you.
I like these hard cinematic cuts. These are transitions between screens that you would not have seen
trying to piece together what remains of fractured memories
in games of the time.
What I am about to recount to you will seem beyond comprehension, but I beg for your patience.
And that's another thing I'm interested in looking at this game is like, I'm treating this like it's a pure throwback. It's not. Like, I think that the reason that this game is being made is because the people developing this kind of game, this kind of story-driven adventure game, believe that this is an effective way of telling a story. It's not just like, hey, remember the 90s? So I'm going to try to disconnect that part of my brain that thinks about this as a pure throwback, because I think that's kind of doing the work of this kind of game design a disservice. So I'm going to try to scale back on that slightly.
I will endeavour to explain the events that led me to Ticehurst House that night.
I feel as though when that sheep was looking at me that it was seeing something. That I was noticing some intelligence that maybe was unnerving and alien to me.
As far as I can recall, this whole wretched story started with the receipt of a letter from a Mr. Leonard Shoulder.
Each of these shots that I've been taken to has been jarring to me. I haven't been expecting to see the thing that I'm seeing at all.
The letter brought me to the isolated village of Bewley, deep in the moors. No station master in sight. I hope the village isn't too far away. I can't recall our exact meeting place. Mr. Shoulder mentioned it in his letter.
Oh gosh. There's just a wall of instruction. So I left click, I right click to examine. Great. Streamline point and click adventure interfaces. I do have an interface. Go to the top of the screen. Or I do have an inventory. Go to the top of the screen. Left click on an inventory item to select it. Right click to examine it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, double click on an exit to teleport directly to it. This is a modern game, folks. And it autosaves. Extremely a modern game. That means that this is not going to be like a Sierra game where I can forget to pick up the squirrel hair on screen 1 and wind up not being able to defeat the wizard on screen 75. Which is great news. Understood. What a great replacement for okay in an interface. Imagine if like your Windows computer had you say understood every time it told you something. So if I left click, I'll interact with something.
My mother always told me not to walk on railway tracks.
And if I right click, she'll examine it.
The tracks look quite untarnished. I don't think many trains come through here. Bewley, I have great expectations for this Barrow.
Okay, does this game tell you where exits are? Is it like if you mouse over an exit, it pops up an arrow for you?
The post looks unattended. Hello? A door of fine construction.
I think it wants me to find something in my inventory, probably. Dear Mrs. Bateman, I write this letter in the hope of piquing your curiosity. I read about your expertise in barrows, and if I understand correctly, you are writing a book on them and the treasures they contain. I live in the village of Bewley, where a most special barrow can be found on the outskirts. It is rectangular in form and is certainly tall enough to stand up in. The place is steeped in local legend, and there is rumor of secrets to be found deep within. So I guess a barrow is like a hole, like a remnant of a past time, civilization, etc. I hope you will not misunderstand me and find this letter intrusive. If you wish to visit Bewley and excavate the barrow, I will be pleased to be your guide. Please send your response to the Plough and Furrow Inn, Bewley. I shall await your letter. Yours respectfully, Mr. Leonard Shoulder. Oh, there's a lady. Oh, gosh. Here's another letter. Sorry, lady, you're going to have to wait. Just hang tight, lady. I'm reading. Dear Miss Bateman, marvelous news. I shall meet you at 8 o'clock in the evening on the 14th of this new month at the Plough and Furrow Inn, Bewley. The inn has fine rooms, which you will find adequate for your short stay. When we meet, I shall tell you more of the circumstances surrounding the site, which is referred to locally as Hobbs Barrow. It is not located on my own land, but we will have no issue gaining permission to excavate. I wish you a safe journey. So I'm an archaeologist.
I must make my way to the Plough and Furrow Inn.
Hey, what's up, lady?
She was not standing there a moment ago.
Yeah, I was looking at a damn letter. Hey, what's up, lady?
Excuse me?
Yes?
Where's the inn?
I'm looking for the Plough and Furrow Inn. Do you know where I can find it?
Ah, young lady. Leave the station and follow the dry stone wall for around half a mile. You'll come to Bewley. Go straight ahead and you'll find the market square. The inn is t'other side at square.
Thank you very much. What can you tell me about Bewley?
Well, it used to be a thriving village. Not so much now. I don't spend much time there these days.
Are you local?
Ah, yes, a local I am. But I don't live in the village.
Where are you travelling to today?
That would be none of your business, young lady.
Quite. Apologies. I wish you a pleasant journey.
Anyone who knows me knows that I'm not an expert in English accents. But I can tell you that there is a story being told by the difference between the accents of these two people. I'm going to mention the hob, and she's going to barf.
What brings you to Bewley, miss?
She's going to flip her bean. I have nothing to hide. I'd like to play her as a naive city slicker.
I'm here to visit a local landmark, Hobbs Barrow.
Barf.
Hobbs Barrow?
Oh.
Well, I can't say I've heard of it.
I was hoping she would
For what
barf.
reason?
I wish to excavate it.
Grave robber, are you?
Not at all. I merely have an interest in antiquities.
Okay, so there's a theme, right?
Not much to be found in Bewley, if you ask me. You're better off waiting for the next train back to the city.
I'll take my chances.
Can't say I didn't warn you.
This, like, horror of the English countryside,
That
the
was odd.
idea that, like, this woman from the city, I'm imagining she's from some big city, London or whatever. The horror of the backwoods people, like, far from the influence of the city, I think is a fun time. Very, like, The Wicker Man, right? But yeah, it feels like there's a theme here developing, maybe, of this woman thinking that what she's doing is altruistic in some way, right? She's doing excavating. She's an archaeologist. She considers what it is that she's doing as, like, above board or noble in some way. And this woman that she's talking to is like, grave robbing, are you? Right? You get what I'm saying? Hell yeah. Is there anything to look at here? No. This screen is pure Atmo. Oh, hello. There's a terrifying red-eyed crow. Alright. Peace. Can I, like, tab to see all interactable things? Or is it not that? It's not that kind of game. It's not that kind of game. There's a door. Should I look at the door?
A humble dwelling.
She's a snob!
A humble dwelling.
Oh, man. She's gonna deserve everything she gets. Well, here I am in the village from Resident Evil 4. Alternate joke. Here I am from the village in Gymkata. Anyone? No?
The anvil looks heavy.
Well, let's pick it up.
Beating raw metal into a fine object is an admirable skill.
Oh, I love that she sucks. I
This
love that
appears to be
she's
the
such a
forge of an local
snob.
blacksmith. The blacksmith looks closed.
What do we think of this music?
The bucket has seen better days. The bucket is rusty and full of holes. Perhaps this belongs to a merchant.
Now I feel like I'm watching an Italian, like a giallo, a horror movie from the 70s. With this music. Look at this parallax scrolling. You see that shit? My god. It's trying to draw my attention to this dang
A
church.
fine example of a church.
She likes the
It looks
church.
like it was built in the Norman style.
Oh my god. She's the worst. She's so pretentious. Alright, let's look at this cross.
Quite an ornate construction. This was created with pride and care.
Okay, so she's not that bad. She's not that bad.
A local cobbler.
She likes being impressed by local culture. Well, this looks
The
bad.
building is in a dilapidated state. Quite a fine building indeed.
Oh, she's so
There's more
judgmental.
houses down that way.
Where am I going? I'm trying to get to the inn, right? I should just do that
Plough
instead
and
of...
furrow. I have a bit of time before Mr. Shoulder arrives. I should inquire about a room.
I love this voice acting, though. She is... There's so much intentionality behind the way that
window
she's
box
saying
is
these
well
things.
out of reach.
There's a lot of character
The
here
man looks thoroughly inebriated.
in this writing that is being done. Like, this is not an overwritten thing, and there's a lot of character and a lot of personality coming through.
Hello there. What's the young lady doing out alone in this sodding weather?
Get out of the way, sir. You're drunk. Oh man, we're gonna do this.
What are you doing out in this weather?
Waiting for you, my dear.
All right, let's
I doubt
kill him.
that.
And I've waited long enough. So, give us a kiss now, won't you?
So, this game seems good, right? Let's try to outsmart him. I want to be a smarty pants.
Wouldn't your wife disapprove?
My wife? Bloody hell, my wife! My tea'll be on the table at this hour, and if I don't get back, she'll be roaring.
T.
Till we meet again.
T he versus these unwanted sexual advances this guy's
What
making.
a buffoon.
Another theme. Behind the veneer of society, we're all beasts, or at least the people in this town
I should
are.
speak to the innkeeper about a room.
Don't tell me what I should do. Okay, I'll do it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, lass. How can I help you?
I'd like a room, please.
I am in need of a room for the night.
Aye, we aren't short of those. One night, is it?
I shall need at least 2 nights, maybe more.
Aye, 'tis not a problem. 3 shilling per night. That includes your dinner and tea.
A fair price.
I'll need that payment up front for the 2 nights.
Alright, let me use my inventory. Maybe you've heard of it. It's an inventory.
This is payment for the room.
Thank you. Can I ask for your name, lass?
Thomasina Bateman.
And will Mr. Bateman be staying with us tonight?
No, I am not wed. My assistant is arriving in Beaulieu tomorrow.
Your assistant, you say? Will you be needing another room?
Please.
I'll keep a room spare. It's not quite as nice as yours, I'm afraid.
Missing call.
Not a problem, sir. I'm sure it will be adequate. Kenneth is a man of inexpensive taste.
Here's your key.
She judges
Just go
Kenneth.
through the door to the right of the bar, then up the stairs. Room number 2.
Thank you.
Can I help you with your luggage?
No, thank you, sir. I can manage. I should go upstairs and freshen up before Mr. Shoulder arrives.
They've done such a good job of making me feel vulnerable here. Like, nothing's happening. One, I think the, like, subtle vignetting around this screen, like the faint fade to black around the edges of the thing, like I'm kind of looking in through into a diorama or something like that, I think is cool. I like what they're doing by the first human being I see aside from that lady is somebody who is potentially going to attack me. I have been taught early on in this game that I should not count on my own safety, nor should I trust any of the people in here. So let's look at these folks.
A fine exemplar of inebriation.
But also, she's kind of unlikable.
A rather miserable-looking fellow. He's playing a board game by himself. I think it's 3 Men's Morris.
Ah.
They are engaged in an intense discussion.
The Gentleman's Morris.
They are engaged...
All right.
A
What about this?
majestic animal, cut down in his prime.
Guys, this writing is
The
making me so
fireplace
happy.
is more welcoming than the facial expressions of the locals. This painting shows a Rubenesque figure brushing her hair. Quite unusual to see such a sensual work in a room like this. A pixie-faced peasant boy, painted in a naive style.
She's the
A
best.
colourful work depicting a bashful knight. It is signed N. Hamley. A biblical scene of some kind. An angel is depicted looking longingly to the heavens.
This music. Listen to this music. Those bells with that sort of slow attack in the background. Fabulous. I'm having such a good time. I'm so happy.
This shall do nicely.
I burnt out on Citizen
Time
Sleeper,
to
and I'm
change to
so
something
pleased to
more
be playing this
comfortable.
game. Oh, look at those spats!
Much better.
Great. Let's take a look at this
I've
wardrobe.
hung my dress instead
Yeah.
from that.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Let's look at this
A
plate.
decorative plate depicting a goat.
Fantastic.
A painting of surprising quality. It portrays a rocky outcrop overlooking a vast moor. Perhaps a local landmark.
She's so judgmental of this art. I love it. It's just like me.
Complementary matches. Useful.
I'm a jerk in such a similar way to the way that she's a jerk. Let's
No
look at
doubt
this
the
bed.
mattress is stuffed with itchy straw.
That's exactly what I would say. I would
A
judge.
jug of water for drinking or washing. An empty bowl has been provided for washing.
Should I pick these things
I don't wish
up?
to carry the bowl.
No. Is this that kind of game?
This may come in handy.
It sure is. Okay. Very good. So this is the kind of game where you pick up a jug and shove it into your pocket.
A box within a box.
She's amusing herself, just like me. Okay. I love her. Let's go. Time for me to smash the three men's Morris man over the head with a jug.
I'm not sure they would be interested.
Gish! Start a fight. No. Room key, jug, money, handkerchief. Let's check out this
Gift
handkerchief.
from my mother. It bears my initials, TB.
Is her name tuberculosis? What's happening over here?
Miss Bateman, you've transformed.
I feel far more comfortable in my outdoor clothing.
You look like one of those explorers you see in the newspaper.
I guess you could call me an explorer of sorts.
I'm Stanley. Stanley Kemp.
A pleasure to meet you, Stanley.
And tell me, I trust your room is adequate.
Most adequate.
Excellent.
My room rocks. Tell me about Mr. Shoulder.
I'm looking for a man named Leonard Shoulder.
Aye, I know the man.
I'm to meet him here tonight.
Can I get you something to drink while you wait?
Not yet, thank you.
I'm looking for a man named Seymour Butts. I believe you could find him under the bleachers.
What can you tell me about Mr. Shoulder?
Aye, he's a quiet fellow. He only comes here to check his post.
Yes, I've been corresponding with him using this address.
Have you now? You found yourself an admirer.
Not quite.
What business do you have with old Leonard, then?
I wonder if we're kind of doing something here where it's like people are making assumptions about her sexuality that they should not be making. I don't know if that's the kind of story we're doing. I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care about what these hayseeds think of my relationship with Leonard Shoulder.
Well,
are you kidding me?
If you must know, I am what some people call a barrow digger.
A what?
A barrow digger.
What in God's name
What
is that?
God's name?
Are you familiar with tumuli?
No.
Afraid not.
Barrow
What are you
is another
talking
word
about?
for tumulus, or tumuli in the plural.
He doesn't know what a
profoundly
tumuli is.
interesting subject.
You've lost me.
I excavate ancient burial sites looking for relics. A barrow is traditionally a circular mound of raised earth enclosing a burial chamber.
Oh.
Oh, aye.
That's good to know.
You're a grave robber.
I'm no
love
such
it.
thing.
Don't worry, lass. I've met all sorts in here over the years. I won't tell anyone.
I assure you, my goal is more noble than petty grave robbery.
What sort of relics do you find, then? Gold? Silver? Bones?
Well, rarely gold or silver, but treasures certainly. Ancient pottery is the most common find. I've been excavating barrows all over the country. I'm documenting my findings in preparation for my book. It shall be called Vestiges of the Antiquities in Rural England.
Oh, aye. Very interesting. But what does old Leonard have to do with this?
He sent me a letter in which he told me about an unusual barrow in Bewley, a site called Hobbs Barrow. I'm meeting him here this evening to find out more.
I've lived here nigh on my whole life, and I've heard nowt about a Hobbs Barrow.
I love that we're continuing the everybody thinks she's a grave robber theme. It feels like we're probably going to a place where it's like, no, she is a grave robber. Like, she thinks she's doing something for more noble reasons. But ultimately, she's just looking to exploit the culture of these rural people that she seems to like kind of look down on. Love this. I'm gonna just stop saying how much I love this, but I love this so
What
much.
can you tell me about Bewley?
This is so
Aye,
good.
it's a quiet place. People keep to themselves, work hard.
I look forward to exploring the village tomorrow.
There's not a lot to see, lass. But St. Edmund's Church is a fine building, worth a visit.
Are you sure you've never heard of Hobbs Barrow?
Not in my life, lass, but I'll tell you something. The moors stretch further than the eyes can see once you leave this village. There's no doubt many a discovery to be made.
Mr. Shoulder said the barrow is well known locally, a place of legend.
I'm afraid you're going to have to speak to him about it. Why are you interested in digging around in the dirt, lass? Haven't you better things to do with your time?
I enjoy nothing more than the thrill of discovery, uncovering the past and piecing together our history. I inherited this passion from my father.
I bet you did.
Oh, a barrow digger too, eh?
I come from a long line of
Indeed.
grave
He
robbers.
would take me with him on excavations as a child.
Does he still come with you now, on your own adventures?
I'm afraid my father's been bedbound by illness for many years.
Oh, I am sorry to hear that, lass.
Thank you, Mr. Kemp. He is well looked after at a private hospital.
He came down with grave robbers disease, you see. Yeah, Wirtz. The thing of, like, she's the kind of person who's like, oh yes, I'm a knife thrust enjoyer. She is like the perfect horror protagonist because she's kind of likable, right? She's smart. She talks to people respectfully. She's self-motivated. She's like looking for an adventure. There's a lot to like about her, but she's totally unself-aware. She doesn't understand at all how she comes off to these people that she's interacting with. And she judges them so much that she wouldn't think to even ask that question of how these people judge her. Let's ask how Stanley's doing. Hey, Stan, what's up?
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Kemp.
Well, I've been the proprietor of this inn for the last 16 years. I worked as a drover all over the country in my younger days. Saved up my coin and bought this place.
It's a fine inn.
Thank you. I often run short of ale, but my rooms are rarely full. I don't get many outsiders wanting to stay overnight.
Just a
here.
bunch of drunks here.
Thanks for your time.
As you were.
I love it. So I'm struck by the fact that there's one
A
pink
decorative
plate
plate.
here.
This one depicts a bull. A decorative plate depicting a serpent.
And I kind of
Decorative
wonder...
plate. This one depicts a cat. A decorative plate depicting an eagle.
of like what
A
the
decorative plate. This one depicts a dog.
significance of one being unlike
A
the others
decorative
is.
plate depicting a bear.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here. Peace,
I
Stanley.
should wait here for Mr. Shoulder.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna whip this guy's ass at Three Man's Morris.
Good afternoon, sir.
What do you say?
Here.
I beg your pardon?
Oh,
I said there's nout for you here, lass. Be on your way.
Charming.
what do you say we make this antisocial interaction a little more interesting by betting money? So every time I walk across that spot, the floorboard creaks. Am I overthinking this? Perhaps. Oh, hey, there's a terrifying old man. Let's talk to him.
Hello, sir.
Right.
Do you know a Mr. Leonard Shoulder?
You're not local. You've come on that bloody train, haven't you? Bewley's going to dogs.
Do you know, Miss Ivana Tinkle?
My name is Thomasina Bateman, and you are...
None of your business, lass. Where's your husband?
None of your business, sir.
Ah! You're brave coming in here, all on your own.
I'm a grown
Oh,
woman.
I love this.
I'm Cyril.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance,
Oh, she
Cyril.
hates him, even though he's her one friend. He's the one person telling her how it actually is, and she can't handle it.
Do you know Mr. Shoulder?
That'd be none of your business, lass. I don't come to your city poking around asking
Yes.
questions, do I?
This guy
I just
rocks.
want to enjoy his ale in peace.
Yes. Let sleeping dogs lie, says Mr. Terrifying Old Man.
I take it you are not enamored with the railway station.
Bewley's gonna be swarming with outsiders like
we're-
you.
okay,
We don't
okay,
want you
I get it.
coming here. It's as simple as that, lass.
Why not?
This is our town, our land.
I assure you I am not here to cause trouble.
We'll see about that, won't we?
One of my favorite movies is this movie called Don't Torture a Duckling, directed by, it's an Italian movie directed by Lucio Fulci, in the 70s at some point. It's a murder mystery about a number of young children that get murdered in a small Italian medieval town, medieval city. And that movie uses the like image of the highway that they just built. They just built an elevated highway, like up on an overpass, heading straight towards the village to demonstrate the kind of like changing culture of this small town and to create this like horror setup, this detective horror ghosty kind of story in the location because of the way that the modern world's infrastructure is about to like create this conflict in this ancient or, you know, traditional medieval setting. And I feel like they're doing something similar here with that, with the railway station. Like they built the railway recently. The railway is modern technology in this game, and the presence of that railroad means trouble for people living here under the culture that they have created for themselves, which I imagine we'll learn involves murdering and eating people or something like that. But still, they're you know, they're probably right to be worried about people from the city coming here and asking questions.
What can you tell me about Bewley?
We're a proud community. I've lived here my whole life. Not much here to interest folks like you.
Folks like me?
Aye.
Bye for now.
Ta-ra, lass.
No, that guy rocks. That guy's
Mr.
cool.
Shoulder should really be here by now. I'll sit down and wait.
I love it when characters in LucasArts style games turn to the camera and tell you what they're gonna do.
Where on earth is he? What a waste of time this is turning out to be.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Evening there, miss.
Not you again.
I just wanted to apologise for earlier. I got home, had my tea, but it gave me an aching belly.
How so?
Belly.
I felt bad for how I spoke to you. I'm sorry. The drink gets a hold of me sometimes.
Let's start again, shall we?
My name is Arthur Tillett.
Nope.
Thomasina Bateman.
What brings you to Bewley, anyway?
I'm here to meet someone, but he has not arrived.
His loss, if you ask me.
Oh, this acting
Perhaps you know
from
the
her is so
gentleman,
good.
Mr. Leonard Shoulder.
Oh, I know Mr. Shoulder all right. If I may be so bold as to say, he's a bit long in the tooth for you.
The relationship is not what you're implying. I've never met him. In fact, I know very little about him at all.
He's gonna be the old guy, right?
And I'll tell you all about the old sod.
No, never mind. This drunk dude would know. You know what? This guy's a dope. I'm not afraid of him.
One
I'll
ale,
buy
coming
him a
right
beer.
up.
Who gives a shit?
Thank you very much, Miss Bateman. Then I'll tell you all about old Leonard Shoulder.
Oh,
Oh, I have to do it. Okay. How about a jug? Do you want this jug?
No, that's not it.
All right. Was worth a shot. Jug. How do I cancel? There we go. All right, Stanley, let's get this drunk man
How
a
can I
beer.
help you?
A tankard of your finest ale, Mr. Kemp.
I feel as though having 4 taps at a bar is an anachronism. That's like not something that New York City had until
There
like
we are. 2
25
pence, please.
years ago.
Thank you.
Like I would guess that this
was the
place
last
would have
of my money.
one
But
tap.
Kenneth will be here
What?
tomorrow with more funds.
It's the last of her money. I wish I had known that before I agreed to buy this idiot a beer. Well, here you go, moron.
Here you are, Arthur.
Thanking you. Oh, that hits the spot, that does, lass.
Oh, that
Now
hits
then.
the spot.
Old Len. Leonard Shoulder.
Well, I may have miscalculated here. This maybe wasn't the right thing to do. Cool. Well,
Arthur.
I'm gonna rob you now.
Mr. Tillett? Oh, for heaven's sake. The man is in a drunken stupor.
Rob him.
Mr. Tillett? He's not dead. Just very drunk. I
Take
would still
his
like to hear what
wallet.
he has to say about Mr. Shoulder.
Draw a dick on his head. Just
After
go,
one
do
drink
it.
too many, Arthur Tillett has passed out.
Okay, fine. Put his hand in a warm ale. Hey, Cyril, what do you think of this
Cyril seems
idiot?
gruff and unwelcoming. but I sense he may be a kind man under this facade.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I have nothing else to ask for the time being.
All right. Let's take this. What else can we do to this guy? Shave just a stripe of hair through the middle of his head.
I do not need to use the lavatory.
Well, that's what you think. That creek right there. Right? Do you get what I'm saying? All right. Stanley, what do you think I should do with
Can't think
Tillet?
of anything else to talk about right now.
All right. How about Three Men's Morris?
Do you know a Mr. Leonard?
You ought to be careful asking too many questions round here.
It's really just the
Be on
one.
your way.
It's the one
Oh, I
question.
don't mean to...
Okay.
Listen to me, will you? Be on your way.
All right. Let's talk to this drunk guy.
Good day, sir.
Cool.
I should wait here for Mr. Shoulder.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's look at this painting.
I don't want to take the painting with me.
Okay, I left.
It's a crudely painted scene that appears to be of a biblical nature.
She's such a jerk. Ah, I love her. Okay, well, Tillet, it's time to dump a jug of water on you. First puzzle solved.
What the hell was that for?
Look at me.
You
With my
passed
hands up
out,
in the air, I
Mr.
solved that
Tillet.
puzzle. No hands.
Sorry, lass. Where were I? Leonard Shoulder. Hold on another minute. I'm making for a piss.
Oh, this guy
This
rocks.
man is
I like this guy now.
unbelievable.
No, he's cool. Lay off him. He's got his charms. Sure, he tried to attack you. Sure, he's a drunken idiot. But he also did just say, I'm aching for a piss. So you got... I mean, if anybody said
Feels
that to
like
me
an
in
hour has passed.
real life,
Perhaps I should go in there and check on him.
I would immediately become friends with that person. Could you imagine you're hanging out with somebody you've never met them before? And they said, I'm aching for a piss. And then walked away. Friends for
Miss
life.
Bateman,
The fuck do you want, Stanley?
my apologies. The ladies are closed due to faulty plumbing. You'll have to use the gents.
That's fine. That's
Lovely.
what I wanted to do anyway.
Mr.
Here we
Tillet,
are in the world's creepiest bathroom. Let's check out these
these look
urinals.
modern. I'm surprised.
They do look modern. I was also surprised. Okay, so there's a David Lynch movie happening in here. That's a shame. Let's open this door. Hello, Mr. Tillet?
Mr. Tillet? Mr. Tillet, are you in there?
Mr. Tillet, I'm aching to find you. Let's open this one. He's dead!
Mr. Tillet, are you
His
in
throat has been ripped out by a ghost. Oh, it's a cat. That's a very normal looking cat. I'm not at all worried.
there? Well,
That's
you're
what
not
cat-
Mr. Tillet.
Is she? Maybe it is.
The mangy thing is fast asleep.
She hates cats. She's doing that thing that you're not supposed to do in screenplays.
I can see it's still raining out there.
Right? There's that whole thing about, like, saving the cat. There's supposed to be a cat up in a tree, and the good guy saves it, and the bad guy, like, drop kicks it across the parking lot or whatever. She's drop kicking this cat.
The mangy
The
thing
mangy
is
thing.
fast asleep.
Disrespectful. Let's pet this
I'd
cat.
rather not touch it.
She hates
the thing
cats.
stinks to high heaven.
Yeah. She's a bad person. Let's get another
jug is
jug.
empty.
Let's just collect some jugs.
The mirror is coated in a thick layer of grime. Some excavations are best left to others.
Oh, she's the best. She's also a total jerk, but she's the best.
The door opens a crack, but appears to be blocked from the other side.
Okay, I'm going to ask the cat for help.
I think I can hear someone moving around.
Yes, I can hear a nightmarish sound on the other
Mr.
side of this
Tillet?
door.
Arthur, are you out there? Judging from the draft coming from below, this door must lead outside. I should investigate further.
See you later, cat. Oh, I love it when characters in adventure games say things to you like, I should, and then tell you what to do. Look at this. Look at this lighting. See what I'm saying? This game's art style, let's just say, rocks. This game's acting rocks. This game's writing rocks. Mr.
Excuse
Tillett
me, sir.
rocks. Oh, that's Leonard's shoulder. That's Leonard's shoulder's glove.
Pearly white gent's glove. It's certainly unlike anything Mr. Tillett was wearing.
Take it. Take it!
Seems rather out of place here. Peculiar.
Sometimes when I feel like I'm doing streams for Tabletop Gold, it's like I think about GMing and the way that like a game does things that a GM should do. That little like underlining of how it's odd to see a glove, it's a pretty simple thing to do, but it's like it's one of the things I think about a lot when I think about like running a role-playing game is like how to present artifacts and information and evidence and things like that people find in a way that like gives them gives the players like some context to be intrigued or to be drawn in by like a particularly delicious find. It's not something that I think is like the thing that I'm best at, but I do love just like considering like tone of voice and choice of words when you're describing clues, because I think it can be a way of making a game really exciting and engrossing using like very small, very minor little like adjustments to the way that you talk. Anyway, let's check out this window.
A warm glow permeates from within, making me feel somewhat cold and damp.
It sure does. I'm sort of like interested how like this background is like 320 by 240, right? You got this like jagged edge here, but then the lighting is in like HD, right? Like this isn't like a gradual like 256 color gradient that we're looking at. This is a modern day lighting effect being cast over this older looking graphical style. I kind of like that.
I suspect the barrels are empty. Otherwise the locals would be rolling them into their cellars.
I think I like that. I think I probably like that because I don't have as much reverence for this graphical style as I do for like the aesthetic of like VHS tapes or whatever when you see those in movies, where it's like when something is supposed to look like it's on VHS and doesn't because they screw it up. I just like love the atmosphere here. I think it's
I
cool.
could tether a horse here if I had one.
All right, Thomasina, let's get out of here. Let's follow the white-haired man. There he is. It's Leonard's shoulder. Interesting. That light, though, was like a pixel for pixel gradient. That was not an HD
A
gradient.
humble local dwelling.
Oh my god, you're so judgmental.
I don't wish to go knocking door to door.
That's what you think. Let's go.
The old man has disappeared into the darkness. I'd best turn back to the inn.
Ah, the atmosphere. What a delight. What a joy. What fun we're having. Are you having fun? I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. Oh, Mr. Shoulder's inside. I've been waiting for you. Hey, Stan, you seen Shoulder?
How can I help you?
Where did Tillett
Arthur
go?
Tillett?
I thought he were with you.
He went to the lavatory and has not returned.
That sounds like Arthur Tillett. Don't worry, lass. He'll be back.
He was aching for a piss. To death!
There's a door to the outside in the gents' lavatories. Why is it bolted?
That door doesn't even have a lock.
So you didn't lock the door?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thanks for your time.
As you were.
Let's go back. So this is like a thing where it's like the Wadjet Eye sort of influence of this game makes me happy. Like I right now am clicking around on screens and following things and left clicking, right clicking, looking, considering, etc. Because there's a story unfolding in front of me, not because I have been given a quote-unquote puzzle. And I have to say, I love that. I love this as a piece of like interactive fiction. Hey, how you doing, Kat?
I'd rather not touch it. The thing stinks to high heaven.
Rather than like the sort of typical Monkey Island style of like there are 12 puzzles here in this open area and you solve them in this various, like in this particular gated order.
The door is blocked from the outside. I should go out and take a look.
Well, I'm an idiot. I thought I was supposed to come back here. All right. Cyril, you see anything?
Hello again, Cyril.
Oh, aye.
Have you seen Arthur Tillett?
Aye. Saw him going to use the privy a while back.
He hasn't returned.
That drunkard's probably been to a toilet bowl vomiting his guts out as we speak, lass.
Cyril rocks. Love this guy.
Lass.
Well, maybe I drew the wrong conclusion from what Stanley said to me. Do I want to go and investigate the door on the other side of the alleyway? Ah, there's a wood here.
Someone has wedged the door shut. Mr. Tillett. Why would he have done that?
I don't think he did it. Do I have a wood in my inventory now?
Block the door behind him. Something strange is going on here.
You think? Do I have a wood? No. I do have a glove. Let's look at this glove.
Fine white glove, gents style. I found it in the alleyway behind the plough and furrow.
Glove, gentleman style. Well, everybody died.
Last orders.
I should get some sleep. Finding the missing men of Bewley shall have to wait for tomorrow.
I would like to order 1 Leonard shoulder, please.
I have nothing else to ask for the time being.
Okay.
Kenneth will be arriving tomorrow.
Yeah,
yes,
go to bed.
I must
She said
get
she wants to
some
go to
sleep.
bed. Who am I to
shall track
deprive her
down
of her
Mr.
sleep?
Shoulder tomorrow.
Miss Bateman,
Yes?
off to bed.
Yes. I'm afraid Mr. Shoulder's let me down.
The rotter. Perhaps he will make himself known tomorrow.
I should hope so. This is turning into a waste of my time.
Ah, don't mind the locals, miss. It's just that we don't get a lot of visitors in Bewley.
Quite.
They mean well, believe me.
Sure, Mr. Kemp.
Please, call me Stanley.
Good night, Stanley.
Sleep well, Miss Bateman.
Oh, she's softening towards him. That's cool. Oh, look at this. Look at this horror game I'm playing. Should I click? I'm gonna click. Oh, there's a door. It's a cat! Yeah. I know what you're doing, game. I see you. I'm gonna get possessed by... Oh, that's a terrifying cat. That's like one of those internet cats. Look at this rotoscoped animation. Did Mr. Tillett get turned into a cat? Am I going to get turned into a cat? I don't mean Thomasina. I mean me, Lars. Am I going to get turned into a cat? Look at this. Adventus. I love that ugly cat too, Gorgogi. Great point. I hope that I can
Such
eventually
horrid
control a cat in
dreams.
this game. This game has a sense of style that makes use of, like, every dollar they spend on this game, they are getting back 4 times over. It is so
Bolted from
smartly
the inside,
produced.
just as I left it last night.
Well, the cat unbolted it and then rebolted it.
As I suspected. I must have dreamt of that wretched-looking cat.
I don't think so.
I must say I'm relieved.
I don't think so. No, you
Right
shouldn't
then.
be. No.
Let's see if I can track down the elusive Leonard Shoulder.
You won't. He's
I'm
a
rather
cat.
anxious to get to this barrow.
It's never gonna happen.
I also wonder what happened to Mr. Tillett.
He's a cat too. You're done.
Good morning, Miss Bateman.
Oh my God, Stanley,
Good day,
chill
Stanley.
out. Well, Stanley, any
you
evil?
sleep well, Miss
do you have
Bateman?
evil cats in this hotel? I'm going to tell the
Not really.
truth. I'm going to play her as a
I've a
totally
rather queer
guileless...
recollection of a cat entering my room last night.
A cat, you say?
Yes, an odd-looking grey one.
Grey
I
with
must
an
have
E.
been dreaming
The worst.
as I locked the door and windows before I went to sleep. I saw a similar cat in the lavatories while searching for Mr. Tillett.
Ah, Herbert. Oh, he's a harmless thing.
False.
He comes in now and then searching for scraps.
And unbolting
Indeed.
doors.
Seeing him in the lavatories must have conjured up the strange dream.
No.
The mind is capable of manifesting frightful things. Miss
Also,
Bateman.
cats are capable of possessing your brain and
I'm
killing
happy
you.
to report the rain of yesterday has lifted. It's a clear morning outside. Crisp.
What if
I've
this whole...
prepared a room for your assistant. What
Go ahead,
time
Sally.
will he be arriving today?
His train will get in around midday. Kenneth will also be bringing my excavation equipment.
Oh, aye. What does that entail?
Picks, shovels, buckets, lighting and such. He usually packs it in a large crate. Come to think of it, I'll need somewhere to store it.
You're welcome to use the alley behind the inn for any such bulky items.
Oh yeah, that alley seems very secure. That's perfect. That's the place where Tillett got murdered from. So in my mind, I'm playing her, and I think I feel very confident about this choice. The idea that she would lie to anybody or be dishonest with anybody seems totally silly to me, because she is so confident of her own superiority. It's like she wouldn't even think to lie to any of these people, right? So the idea that I would not tell the truth about having a dream about a cat, it's like she looks down on everyone, right? Like, these people live in a haunted, cat-infested, like, drunkard, like, assault town. She doesn't care what they have to say about her. She, I believe, sees herself as invulnerable, in my opinion. So that's how I'm going to play her. And I think that makes her a better horror movie protagonist, so... But I do think that she would, because she looks down on everyone, she would think that leaving the equipment in the back alley is idiotic. So, no, we're not going to do that.
Is it safe to do such a thing?
I can assure you the local folk are not thieves, Miss Bateman.
They're murdering
That's not
cat
what I-
people.
Now, say nothing more of it.
Thank you, Stanley.
I'll let you get on with your day.
I'll be back with my assistant when he arrives.
Miss Bateman,
Miss Bateman.
Yes?
I've something I wish to get off my chest.
Well, you see, I'm a cat man. My whole family
I've
were
been
cats.
tossing and turning all night, Miss Bateman. I feel rotten, I really do.
What on earth are you talking about?
As you know, I like to run an honest establishment.
I don't know that.
Well, I have not been honest with you, lass.
Not surprising.
I do know of Hobbs Barrow.
Ah.
You do?
I do. Many here do.
It's filled
There are
with cats.
stories tied to that place, you know. If I've learned anything in this life, it's that some stones are best left unturned.
And all of those stones have cats under
Old
them.
Leonard Shoulder is someone to be wary of too.
He's a
I
cat.
can't tell you what to do, lass, but you'd best avoid him.
Like a cat. Why should I avoid
Why must
Mr.
I be wary
Shoulder?
of Mr. Shoulder?
The man has a certain reputation.
For what?
You've seen it already. Were he here to meet you last night?
No.
Precisely. A man not to be trusted.
Leonard Shoulder's the kind of man that murders Mr. Tillett when he's aching for a piss.
Where does Mr. Shoulder live?
I can't say for sure. As I think I told you last night, he's a quiet man and keeps to himself. He only comes in here to collect his post.
Oh, well, they're
Leads me
making
to
this guy
believe
sound
he lives
cool.
a fair distance away. Certainly not in the village itself.
It's gonna be the white-haired guy, right?
Might someone around Bewley be able to help me find him?
You could ask around. As I say, lass, Bewley folk mean well.
Not
Don't
my
forget
experience.
that.
Not my experience.
Why lie to me about Hobbs Barrow?
I know, lass, I know. I feel dreadful.
But why? What are these stories you speak of?
I really can't tell you more. If you insist on visiting that place, you'll have to seek out Mr. Shoulder. He brought you here. He should be the one to tell you.
I must say, Mr. Kemp, this is all quite puzzling. I've never let local superstitions stop me in the past. I pride myself on being a woman of logic and reason. I've no time to waste on such matters.
Not surprising.
As I say, seek out Mr. Shoulder. He can tell you more.
Where is Hobbs Barrow?
I don't know.
Lie.
I say that on my mother's grave, Miss
Lie.
Bateman.
I now find that hard to believe.
Me too.
The moors are vast, lass.
No.
I'd tend not to go wandering out there.
Lie.
A grown
I mean,
man
that's
could
true.
lose himself and not be seen again.
I shall return later.
Good day to you, lass.
Smell you later, Stanley. There better be an NPC
Seems
I can
I may
talk
be
to.
fighting a battle against some sort of local superstition. Is there a single barrow in England that doesn't have some ghastly tale attached to it?
No.
Hogwash. All of it. I've a few hours until Kenneth arrives. I should use this time to find Mr. Shoulder.
Well, you're here on the screen that I emerged from this building on. You probably know something.
Hello?
I'm not going to introduce myself. I'm going to go straight. Tell me about Leonard Shoulder.
Named Leonard Shoulder.
I don't know out about no Leonard Shoulder.
All right, now I'll introduce
My
myself.
name is Thomasina, and you are?
Now then, that's none of your concern, love.
Missing comma.
What
Now
do you
tell,
do around
seriously,
here?
tell me something about yourself.
Hey up, you're not scared of sticking your neb in. I look after the churchyard. Dig the graves.
Oh, I love robbing those.
What can you tell me about the church?
Aye, it's a church.
Quite.
Quiet. Okay, so they're suggesting that I go to the church.
What
Fine.
can you tell me about Hobbs Barrow?
Not to be found digging around in those things.
You know of local barrows, then?
Don't concern yourself.
They're
What
saying
can you tell me
nout.
about Bewley?
Not much around here, love. Not worth mentioning to you, like.
I see. Goodbye.
Ta-ra.
Ta-da! Well. All right, child.
Hello?
Yes?
Hello, I'm
My
Thomasina.
name is Thomasina. What's yours?
Douglas?
It's a pleasure to meet you, Douglas.
Well, child, tell me about your pathetic backwards town.
That's a great sword technique you have.
Let me
Thanks,
flatter
miss.
you first.
Mr. Crozier's gonna make me a real one when I turn 12. I'm preparing myself to fight the lantern worm.
Extreme adult woman playing child vibes from this guy. Or, from this child. Ah, yes, the Lambton Worm. I heard that you completed it in 12
What
parsecs.
is the lantern worm?
It's gonna come back and get us all. John Lambton thought he killed it at the River Ware, but my father told me it still lives. We must all be prepared.
The lantern worm isn't real, Douglas. Father just told you that to get you out of his hair.
Not true. I saw it slithering out by the beck. Like a giant eel it were. I ran home so fast I thought I would fly.
Sorry, miss. My brother has a vivid
Your
imagination.
brother?
Children often do at his age.
I'll keep training. You will all thank me when I thrust my sword deep into its fat belly.
Douglas, this lady doesn't want to hear your nonsense.
I actually do. Could you tell me a little bit more about your
Do
nonsense,
you
please?
like living in Bewley?
Yeah, I do. Are you from the city?
I'm from a long way away.
You must have come on the train. I love watching all the steam puff up into the sky.
Have you been on the train yourself?
No, miss. Our parents
Missing
don't have the
column.
money for train tickets. Father says we have all we need here in Bewley.
Beulah.
Perhaps this nice lady would like to take you away with her on the train.
No, I need to stay and protect Bewley from the lantern worm.
Well, child, I'll have you know, I plan in roughly 4 hours to be murdered by the Lambton Worm before I figure out which item from my inventory to kill it with. So, you're in luck.
Do you know a man called Leonard Shoulder?
That's a funny name.
It is a funny
Have
name.
you heard of Hobbs Barrow?
Child, have you heard of a Hobbs
A local
Barrow?
burial mound.
Our parents don't let us wander far from the village.
What's a burial mound?
Don't you mind about that, Douglas.
Who's Mr. Crozier?
He's a blacksmith. His forge is just over there on the other side of the square.
Don't you think 12 years of age is a little young for a real sword?
12?
I'll be a master swordsman by then.
Goodbye.
This
Goodbye,
kid's
miss.
7. I don't know about this art. All right, young woman.
Good day.
Hello, miss.
Just kidding.
Goodbye.
Bye, miss.
Good
Okay.
day.
Hello, miss.
Psych.
Goodbye.
Bye, miss.
Okay.
Good day.
Hello, miss.
Okay, here we go.
Goodbye.
Bye, miss.
Okay.
Good day.
Hello, miss.
Tell me about
Do you
Mr.
know a
Shoulder.
man named Leonard Shoulder?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, she's the best. She's so mean.
My name is Thomasina. What's yours?
Betty.
Nice to meet you, Betty.
She's sick of it.
What are you up to?
My brother is practicing his sword fighting technique.
Ooh, practice
I'm to
finesse.
watch him until he tires himself out.
I'm tireless.
This time last month it were all about his teaspoon collection. This month it's swords.
I love that there's humor in this game. I love that this is funny.
What do you know of Hobbs Barrow?
Horror needs to be
Our
funny for
parents
me.
don't like us talking to strangers, miss.
So you know of it?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye, miss.
All right, let's talk to this blacksmith that I've been hearing so much about. Let's take a gander at the old goose, right?
Good day.
Yes?
Mr. Crozier, I presume.
Aye, George Crozier, at your service.
Anyway,
Do you
Shoulder?
know a man by the name of Leonard Shoulder?
Oh, aye, old Leonard.
Have you seen him recently?
No, not recently.
Do you know where he lives?
Why all these questions, lass?
Missing
I need
comment.
to speak with him. He invited me to Bewley.
Oh, he'll turn up. I've seen him in the plough and furrow from time to time.
But do you know where he lives? I need to find him.
I believe he lives somewhere out on the moors. Can't tell you out more than that.
Thank you, Mr. Crozier.
This guy seems above board, right? This guy seems pretty neutral, seems pretty okay. Let's let Thomasina let this guy know her name.
My name is Thomasina.
Very good.
Aye. Can I help you?
Yeah, what's up with being a blacksmith in like a weird haunted town in the middle of nowhere?
Are you a Bewley native, Mr. Crozier?
Aye, born and bred. That's where my father's forged before mine.
What's it like being a weird
How's
blacksmith?
business faring?
I do an honest trade. There'll always be horses needing shoes and farmers needing tools.
That's probably not
you
true.
Let me know if you need out made or mended. I'll do you a fair price.
Thank
Farmers-
you, Mr. Crozier.
Farmers been needing tools maybe, but this whole horse situation is about to break real
Do you
bad
know
for
of a
you.
local landmark named Hobbs Barrow?
There's a fair many barrows found out on the moors, lass. Too many to put a name to. Not a soul in Bewley pays them any mind.
Lie. Okay, so we don't like this guy. He's lying to
What
us.
can you tell me about Bewley?
We don't get many visitors here, outside of market days. But there's plenty of work for the village blacksmith. Where are you from, then?
I arrived yesterday on the train from London, by way of Derby.
Oh, aye. I've heard about London.
What have you heard?
Plenty of factories there.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. The city is always changing and moving forward.
Yep.
Too busy for me, though, lass.
Interesting.
I prefer a quieter pace. Aye.
So this guy is about to be like victimized by the forward march of progress, right? Like this guy, this blacksmith who's so confident that his stuff is going to last forever. He's actually like a symbol of a way of life that is like highly precarious. She represents the forward march of progress that is about to undo all of his stuff, right? Like there are no blacksmiths in rural England anymore, unless they're like participating on reality shows or doing some, some goofball stuff, right? Like this is not a needed thing anymore. He's wrong. He's naive about the danger that she presents to this town, whereas she's naive about a lot of the dangers that the town presents to her.
When do market days run in Bewley?
Once or twice a month. The next one is tomorrow.
How delightful.
Unless your vice is cabbages, there'll be naught to interest a young lady.
I don't mind a cabbage.
My vice
Then
actually
you're in
is
luck.
cabbages.
Thanks for your time.
Aye. Speak to you later.
There are so few of us for whom our vice is cabbages, so I'm beyond thrilled to find another cabbageophile over here. Friends, I'm going to be right back in roughly 25 seconds. Hang tight. I'm back, y'all. Let's go to the church. Everybody's telling me about this damn church. Let's see what's going on. Oh. Okay. Well.
Hello. Good day. Would you like to buy one of these cakes, pet?
Would you like to buy one of these cakes? Yeah, what kind of cakes are these? Sell me on these cakes, old lady.
What kind of cakes do you have?
I have some lovely Bakewell puddings. The sweetest marriage of almond and jam. I can tell you're not from
sounds so
around
good.
here, because if you were, you would know about my Bakewell puddings. They are quite famous.
Well, I don't have money.
Alas,
Can I trade you
I'm
a
not
jug?
carrying any money with me.
That's unfortunate, pet. I'm sorry. I can't give them away for free. The money goes to the church, you see, and one cannot shirk one's duty to the church.
I understand.
Would you accept a terrifying cat? I'm
My
Thomasina.
name is Thomasina. What's yours?
Mrs. de Plancy.
A pleasure to meet you, Mrs. de Plancy.
Likewise, pet.
This is kind of like Hot Fuzz, right?
Tell me about yourself, Mrs. de Plancy.
About me? What would you possibly want to know about me? I've been attending St. Edmund's Church my whole life. I always want to help where I can, so I sell my baked goods, and all the proceeds go to its upkeep. This place means so much to me.
Okay, but tell me about the cakes.
Your cakes look delicious.
I can assure you they are. You'll not find better in the entire county.
I'm probably not going to be visiting a lot of the other areas in the county,
What
so...
can you tell me about St. Edmund's Church?
Isn't it the finest building? It's been standing here since the 12th century. The box
So have
pews in
you.
the nave are very fine and date back to the 17th century. The door is open if you'd like to worship.
Thank you, Mrs. de Plancy. Do you know a local man called Leonard Shoulder?
Uh-oh.
Yes, I know Leonard.
Oh, that pause was
business do you have
so
with him?
wonderfully
It's a
done.
long story, but I'm trying to find where he lives.
I'm afraid I don't know, dear.
Lie.
Father Roach has access to the parish register. He might be able to help you.
Yeah. Kicking the ball down the field. Oh, Father Roach, you say?
What can you tell me about Father Roach?
He is a lovely man and an exemplary servant of the Lord. He's been the vicar of St. Edmund's for many years.
He's also ultimately the villain of this game. I hope you understand that.
Where can I find Father Roach?
At this time of day, he'll be taking his exercise in Herne Wood, to the west of the village.
Okay,
Thank you.
mark
I'll go find
my
him.
words,
Be sure
friends.
to listen out for his merry whistling.
I'm
Such a jolly
calling my
man.
shot right now. Father Roach is the bad guy in this game. He is ultimately the worst person in this game. Words marked. Father Roach, bad guy. Father Roach doing... I don't even know what bad stuff is happening here. Father Roach is responsible. You. I'm saying to you, Father Roach, trouble. He's the final puzzle is going to be me finally going back to my jug that I stole from my room and bashing it over the head of Father Roach.
Where can I find Father
No
Roach again?
question. No doubt in my
This
mind.
time of day, he'll be taking his exercise in Herne Wood, to
Oh,
the
yeah.
west of the village.
Exercise.
Thank you, Mrs.
The mark of a
Delancey.
true psychopath. Go back. Tell me about this Barrow.
What do you know of Hobbs Barrow?
She's like,
What?
Hobbs Barrow, a local burial mound.
The only place of burial I know about and care
Wirtz,
for
I hear
is
what.
in
Okay,
this
hold on a
very
second. We're gonna talk to you in just a second. Okay, Wirtz, I understand what you're saying with the cockroach-related eldritch horror, but I believe that Father Roach. I believe that everybody in this town, except for Leonard Shoulder, is a cat. I think that at night they transform into cats and they roam the village, eating the dead. I don't know. I don't know beyond that.
Thank you for your time.
Lord be with
But I
you.
think that we're in cat territory. Have you noticed how they've been directing my attention through this entire tedious conversation with this old biddy over here towards the memorial plaque? What do you say we take a look?
In memory of Peter Black.
Oh, each is a thing.
In memory of William Ager.
Right? These like white outlined ones seem to matter, right?
In memory of George Paxton.
Okay. Take notes, folks. Paxton, Ager.
In memory of Romeo Hegg, dearly missed by his beloved Juliet.
And Hag.
In memory of...
Paxton.
In memory...
Ager.
In memory...
Hag. That's what matters.
In memory... In memory... In memory... In memory... In memory...
All right. Let's get this trowel.
Excuse me, do you think anyone would mind if I borrowed this trowel?
You help yourself, dear. Father Roach won't mind lending it.
This
Just be
art
sure
is
to put it back when you're
good.
finished.
Of course,
There's my
thank you.
commentary.
It is more blessed to give than to receive.
This game definitely does the thing, not to go back to the nostalgia thing too heavily. This game definitely looks like how I remember this kind of game looking at the time. But it looks obviously way better than those games do. Don't mind if I do grab this necklace.
Box pews. I've never seen any as tall as that before. Most unusual architecture, even for the Normans.
Tall pews. And let me tell you, the reason why these pews are so tall is that all of the people in this village turn into cats at night, and they use the pews as scratching posts. Calling my shot. Father Roach. He's the bad guy. Calling my second shot. These pews are tall because everybody turns into a cat. Let's get this necklace.
Someone has left a necklace hanging here. A silver cross. Sterling by the look of it.
Little did they
Maybe
know
I can
there's...
reunite it with its owner.
Too bad for them, there's an adventure game happening, and every single item that is not bolted down to the to the table like a remote control at a Motel 6 is going to be stolen by me. Including this altar.
Time for such things.
Yes, you do.
This
Take
must
the
be
altar.
where the local vicar sacrifices the newborns.
That's probably correct. You're probably correct. Josephina, you got it.
A memorial list of former vicars. They stretch back several hundred years.
Let's check out this. First off, let's take the ceiling.
Extraordinary craftsmanship. I can admire the craftsmanship from afar.
No, I'm going to climb up there and I'm going to take this entire ceiling and I'm going to put it in my inventory.
The flowers have long since dried out. I don't want them.
That's because nobody goes here, because the church is a sham, because Father Roach is a cat.
Those have seen better days.
I hadn't considered how much fun it would be to make outlandish claims about what it is that this game is ultimately going to be about on stream. I'm so excited to be correct.
It's locked.
Well, good thing for you, I've got a cross to open it up with.
Help me.
Oh, okay. Good thing for you, I've got a trowel.
No,
Get trowel
that's
the
not
door. Okay, fine. Good thing for you, I've got a key.
Can't see how that will help me.
Well, let me tell you how. It's a key. And keys open doors. That's the main idea that I had. Let's get out of here. Let's go find Father Roach doing exercises in the wilderness. Well, it seems like you're the villain of the game. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. This rotoscoping is so awesome. Look at how unnerving this is. Isn't this, like, upsetting? Are you upset? I'm upset. Are you happy? I'm unhappy. Father Roach, you're the bad guy. Don't die. Don't die. Don't die. Don't die. You're the bad guy. You're the bad guy.
Very sorry.
No, this is a smoke screen. You're
Oh,
trying...
the
No.
shame.
No. You're the bad guy.
This malaise will not pass. Oh, the nausea. I need your help.
No,
Don't
I will not help
Tell me
you.
what you need.
No.
The blood from my arm.
Your cat blood?
Excuse me?
Got me. I beg you.
Okay, here's a trowel.
The trowel's blade is dull and rusted. I need something that will provide a cleaner cut.
Okay, tell you what. You hang out here until I get an item that is going to be better. See, here's the thing. I know how the minds of game designers work. They're making me save Vicar Roach or whatever to lower my guard against him as the eventual orchestrator of the cat apocalypse that we're about to see unfold. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a trowel to scoop up your vomit. Let's go.
I shan't be dragging any of my possessions through that mess.
That's where you're wrong, Thomasina. You're actually going to be using a glove to
I
pick it
shan't
up.
be dragging...
Okay, fine.
I'm not going near it. It's...
Well, we're going to get these spectacles, and you're going to step around that vomit.
Ouch! The broken lens is extremely sharp.
Oh, this is a very easy puzzle. This is not much of a puzzle. Let's use a glove to pick up the
Perhaps
spectacles.
I shouldn't risk soil.
Okay, let's use a trowel to pick up
I
the
don't
spectacles.
think that will help me pick up the broken
I
glass.
think I'd be able to pick up in my life some broken glass with a trowel. Here we go. Here's my hanky. Let's use that with the spectacles.
This handkerchief was a gift from my mother. I hope she will understand.
She won't.
This should work.
All right, Vicar. This is when I stab you to death with some broken glass.
Are you sure you want me to do this?
Yes, it will cure me of my ills.
I shall do as you ask, Father.
What? Ah, blood. Cinematics.
Thank the Lord for my spare pair. God bless you. I already feel quite better.
I'm glad, Father.
The rapid healing properties of bloodletting cannot be overstated. I'm Frederick Roach,
You said it, brother.
Vicar of St. Edmund's Church.
And villain
My
of
name
this
is
game.
Thomasina Bateman. It's a pleasure to meet you.
So, okay, so here's like the Wadjet Eye vibe, right? Like that puzzle that we just ran into was trivially easy. It was there to give some sort of speed bump on the narrative. But the solution was we needed to find an object on this screen by interacting with our inventory and finding an object that we started the game with, and then using that object on a character on this screen, right? Like, the guiding principle on these puzzles is that they are narratively driven, not that they are puzzle driven. And I imagine there are people out there that enjoy being challenged by puzzles who like the idea of needing to leave this guy over here and go somewhere else, which I feel like is how Day of the Tentacle works, right? Like if you're playing Day of the Tentacle, you're picking up things from 3 different time periods, dropping them down a toilet, and like taking things from totally outlandish location and shoving them into completely unexpected location B, right? And it's something that, like, the point of it, the joke of it, is that it's narratively incoherent. Whereas here, the thing that just happened is a thing that would have happened to this character in real life. They're not going to go over to the blacksmith, or they're not going to go back to the inn. They're not going to wander into the moor to find the item that they need to use to complete this, like, challenge. They're going to frantically look around for something to solve the immediate threat to them. So it's like puzzles are here to provide some texture to the story and to make me feel involved and to make the player feel like they are interacting with the thing that we're doing, but they are not themselves meant to be challenging. And for me, that's like exactly where I want to be. Like, I really want the solutions for narratively driven puzzles to come from something that is narratively coherent to the situation. So I love it. And that's the way that the like Unavowed, the most recent Wadjet Eye game, the one that like developed by Wadjet Eye, not just published by Wadjet Eye. That's like totally the deal with Unavowed. Like throughout, it's this like beautifully written story with all of this like player freedom and all this other stuff where like the stuff that you choose to do or the stuff that the challenges that you have to overcome are like the solutions to those challenges are organic to the challenges themselves. And I'm very glad that that's where we are now, rather than this vicar bleeding out for half an hour while I go talk to like the sword kid to get his special sword or whatever the hell, right? So, you're evil.
Are you feeling better?
Yes, thank you.
What ails you, Father Roach?
I just ate a rotten berry. That's
Lies. Lying.
I like to pick blackberries.
He
for
ate
my
a cat.
supper, you see. They are quite delicious, as long as you mind the bramble. My apologies again. I wish we had met in different circumstances.
Are you from Bewley originally?
No, he's not. He's from out of
I
town.
was born in our very own St. Edmunds.
Never mind.
It's
I'm wrong.
quite the story.
Do tell.
My mother was sheltering there as a frightful tempest raged. And lo, did her waters break right there and then in that pew.
One could say that you were born into your role, Father.
Yes, I am the villain.
When my mother told me the story as a young boy, I knew that this was my calling.
Wirtz, I'm like looking at your chat on the stream manager on like this tablet that I have sitting next to me. So when you said want to bet he's some cockroach related eldritch horror, Twitch censored the phrase cockroach related. There's like a series of 25 stars there where I'm not allowed to see that you said cockroach related. Because that's offensive. Yeah, let's talk about the church. Hey, so what's it like being a criminal mastermind who works out of a church?
What is it like being the vicar here?
Every day is a blessing, my child. I have a great love for our parish, and the Lord looks after us.
The Lord, a cat.
St.
A cat
Edmunds
that I
is a
call
fine
the Lord.
building.
Thank you for saying so. It's hard work keeping her in good shape, but our congregation is always willing to lend a hand in the
The
Lord's
pews
work.
are so tall.
What about your congregation?
Numbers have fallen over the years, I must say. But those that remain are faithful and full of his spirit.
Okay, so there's our motivation. Whatever evil thing it is that he's doing it because the numbers at the congregation have fallen. He just played off his central motivation as though it was not a big deal to him. But that's the deal. I'm going to say Leonard Shoulder to him, and he's going to barf.
I'm looking for Mr. Leonard Shoulder.
Oh, yes? Are you a relative?
Barf.
No, it's a long story, but he invited me to Bewley.
And he didn't tell you his address?
He was to meet me last night at the Plough and Furrow, but he never came.
I see. Well, let me welcome you to Bewley on his behalf.
Thank you, Father.
I'm so confident that this guy is the bad guy. Like, I'm so confident. The fact that they're making me have the longest conversation I have yet had with this guy, and then he's going to disappear. He's going to fade into the background, and then ultimately he's a cat. Everybody else is a cat, and he's leading them in a cat church.
Do you know where Mr. Shoulder
guarantee it.
lives?
Let me think. It's been many moons since I've paid him a visit.
Perhaps you could allow me to take a look at the parish register.
No need. I remember it now.
Liar.
A fair hike across the moors.
Could you please give me directions?
I'll take you there myself. It's the least I can do after you aided me so.
The most I can
Capital.
do is turn
Thank
you
you.
into a cat.
Just let me know when you're ready to pay him a visit. I'll be resting here for the time being.
Right. This is the gating, right? Let's ask about
What
the
do you know
Barrow.
of Hobbs Barrow?
He's going to play it
I
cool.
can't say I've heard of it.
He's lying, but it's fine.
supposedly a famous local landmark.
I'm afraid I know nothing about it.
He's lying, and they're not hanging any kind of lantern
What
on
can you
it.
tell me about Bewley?
It's a quiet town. The railway line, which I presume you arrived by, is the only news of note we've had here for years.
And he hates it.
I've heard the new station has received a mixed reaction.
He hates it.
I've heard many a debate, it's
No,
true.
he hates it.
But my role is not to adjudicate
No.
on that matter. I'm
No.
very busy in my
No.
own work, you see.
No. Absolutely not. He hates it. He is symbolic of the town's like traditional past. St. Edmunds has been there forever, practicing their like weird, like their weird, you know, Anglican pagan hybrid that allows people to turn into cats that he refuses to talk in detail about. The railway showed up. All the young people left. He's pissed. He's turning everybody into cats, and they're eating a corpse at the Barrow or something. Okay, let's go to Mr. Shoulder's house.
I'm ready to go to Mr. Shoulder's house.
Excellent. I feel the fresh air will do me well. Follow me.
Yeah, suddenly you're fine. All it took me was stabbing you with your own spectacles for half an hour, and now you're great. This guy. I see you coming. Have you eaten this cake?
Father.
Good morning, Mrs. Duplancy. Mrs. Duplancy, this is Thomasina Bateman, a visitor to our parish.
We've already had the pleasure of meeting, Father.
Excellent. Miss Bateman, don't hesitate to try one of Mrs. Duplancy's wonderful cakes.
Yes, I've heard about her famous Bakewell puddings.
I'll be here all day, young lady.
I don't have money.
Remember, once they're gone, they're gone. Those little whelps have already gobbled up all the gingerbread.
So creepy, right?
You're doing God's work, Mrs. Duplancy.
He smiles upon us, Father.
Miss Bateman, if you'd like to follow me. Let's talk of graves, of worms, and epitaphs. Make dust our paper, and with rainy eyes, write sorrow on the bosom of the earth. Let's choose executors, and talk of wills.
Shakespeare?
Quite.
Quiet.
Which play?
Okay. Anybody in chat know more than I do about Shakespeare? It wouldn't be that hard. It's my understanding that he's written a number of plays. By he has, I mean he did, right? I know the man's dead. I'm not an idiot. I know that Shakespeare's dead, okay? I was going to say, okay, where it says Richard II, I agree. And I was going to pick it on the following logic. Macbeth is maybe the Shakespeare play that I'm most familiar with. I feel like I've seen a number of productions of Macbeth, and none of that seemed germane to what happens in Macbeth. Hamlet, perhaps I have less familiarity with. Richard II, I'm an idiot. I also like imagining that this guy just quoted this thing to Thomasina, and she's just standing there looking into the distance, just being like, so, as we're choosing to make this choice. You know, like imagine that somebody asks you, oh, so which Shakespeare play is it, you idiot? So let's do Richard II. It's you and I. We're united. We're Richard II, guys. We're a couple of R2 dudes over here.
Richard
Let's go.
II.
Correct.
Yes.
You are well read, Miss Bateman. Studying the work of the bard is one of my
Okay, good.
Behold,
the music is back.
God's creation.
We're done with just atmosphere.
The moors extend as far as the mortal eye can see.
This is beautiful. This art is so wonderful. Perfect use of pixel art.
Beautiful, is it not?
Yes, it's beautiful. You may be the ultimate villain of the game, but you're correct.
Indeed. The moors are beautiful.
The beauty of God's creation is that it takes so many forms.
Like, for
How can
instance,
one
turning
take in
people
such
into
a
a
view
cat
and
and
not have
murdering them.
faith? Some look at these moors and think this a godless land. But I tell you, he is found in all domains. The Lord's work is all about us. Tell me, Miss Bateman, do you believe in God?
Yeah, I'm going to tell the truth. I don't think that any of these people bear any threat to me whatsoever. I also like that this choice here is about telling the truth or lying, not about telling... Like, the player is unaware of Thomasina's relationship with God at this point. And the idea that this is presented to us in a way that makes it totally unknown to us, I think is like a lovely little bit of interactive storytelling. Like, that's super cool to me. I love it.
I was brought up Anglican. The church was an important part of my early life, Father Roach. But what happened to my father eventually made me question things.
If you don't mind me asking, my child, what happened to your father?
He turned into a cat.
He had an accident when I was very young.
A cat accident. Oh, flashback. Let's go. Oh, look at this. Look at that.
Come along now, Thomasina. Let's get out of the rain.
Oh, this game is so cool. The way that this game uses its, like, sort of...
Remember what I told you, all right? Be a good girl. People are unwell here. They don't want to hear you running about making noise. Understood?
Yes, Mother.
Good. And don't annoy the nurses.
I promise I won't.
Good. Now, let's see your father.
The way that this game uses its archaic presentational style with this like 320 by 240 like VGA style stuff to connect us into this like bygone Victorian era, I think is like wonderful. Like that thing where she as a girl is like talking to her mother who is clearly not doing great. And it does that through just a collection of these sort of like nearly like impressionistic like pixels, I think is like such a nice way of using a intentionally limited presentational style to evoke a very specific emotional and time period, like emotional state and time period. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of my mother because this dude's dead. So we're going to talk to Mom.
Mummy? Mummy?
All right. Let's go over here.
Daddy, wake up!
Good evening, Mr. Bateman. Hello, little one.
It's me, the
You must be
creepiest nurse in the
Thomasina.
world.
Yes?
My name is Nurse Blaketon. I just need to talk to your mummy for a little bit. I'm sorry to disturb you, Mrs. Bateman. Mrs. Bateman?
Missing comma.
Will he ever talk again, Nurse Blaketon?
The doctor is uncertain, Mrs. Bateman. There is the possibility that Mr. Bateman won't regain any movement at all. But we will do our utmost to look after Mr. Bateman here at Ticehurst, ma'am. He will have a nurse by his side at all times, I can assure you.
We will charge you thousands of pounds for it. So I kind of wonder if Tom... Oh, this. Look at that. Look at that art. Are you fucking kidding
What
me?
sort of god would allow this fate to befall such a kind and honest
okay.
man?
Okay.
I'm sorry to hear this. God
Okay,
moves
Thomasina.
in mysterious ways, but he loves us all.
Well, now I feel like we're driving towards a potentially, like, Christian redemption story, right? I think it's possible that we're doing a story that's about her learning that, like...
Hello?
Like, I don't know where we're going now.
She scampered off in a hurry? Who was that?
Some primitive folk make their home out on the moors. I suggest you keep your wits about you when you are exploring, and don't stray too far from Bewley.
I see. How much farther to Mr. Shoulder's house?
Still quite a walk, I'm afraid, but we'll get to him soon enough. Now then, take a look at this. Legend has it that this cairn has stood
awesome.
here for over 1,000 years.
How remarkable.
The Devil's Toe.
I beg your pardon?
That's what it's called. The Devil's Toe.
Oh, I see.
Come now, onward.
Love this, like, intersection of Christianity and, like, English, pagan, worship.
We
Like
walked
the idea that
and
these two
walked
things
across that vast,
intersect at the
featureless
same time.
landscape.
And one informs the other. Like, I think that part of what we're driving towards is that the vicar is more influenced by the, like, pre-Christian stuff that was out here.
All the while, Father Roach was whistling away merrily.
Because he was turning everyone into a cat.
Just as I had begun to wonder if we were hopelessly lost, a building emerged from the mist. Mr. Shoulder's cottage.
Well, Mr. Shoulder's cottage looks substantially more vertical than a lot of the other buildings that we've seen around
Unless
here.
my memory fails me completely, this is Mr. Leonard Shoulder's house.
Thank you for your help, Father Roach.
Now, no need to thank me after your providential assistance today. However, I have something to ask you.
Yes?
Please don't tell Mrs. de Plancy about my little scene.
Roach might be the
She will
tempter.
only fret. The poor dear woman has enough on her mind as it is.
I shan't mention
Right, the
it.
fact that this person enticed me out here is
You better see if Mr. Shoulder is in.
a great reason to be concerned about him. Okay, Father, first off, what if I trowel
I'm not
you?
sure they would be interested.
Okay, worth a shot.
Here, chuk chuk chuk.
Don't encourage them.
These chickens are out of control. They've lost their faith. How dare you try to corrupt these chickens
He
more?
looks much too unruly to be picked up.
Oh, this music's so cool. Let's check out some trousers. I'm a trousers guy. Noted trousers guy. Everybody knows
The
it.
trousers feel damp. Freshly hung? Or still wet from last
No,
night's
it's
rain?
because he's the man.
That glove... I wonder if it matches...
Well, let's use something from our inventory. Use glove with glove. I remember in the 90s, people used to say, no glove, no glove.
The gloves are a pair. Does this mean Mr. Shoulder was in the alley last night?
Does it?
Why
Yes.
didn't he come inside to see me?
Because he's a cat. That's why. Let's take a look at this garment.
Slightly damp.
I have a similar one myself.
Shut up, Vicar.
So very warm.
Get out of my face. Use garment
A
on
woolen
Vicar. Vicar, get
I'm not
gloved.
sure they would be interested.
Fuck. Vicar.
No.
Vicar.
I
Key!
don't wish to give...
What if I do one of these things and it triggers the early, like, game over where it's like, ah, you killed the Vicar with a cross. Oh, fuck. It's happening.
I found this necklace inside the church. Do you know who it belongs to?
Many in our congregation wear such things.
Such things,
I'll announce it at
crosses.
next service.
Do you mind if I keep hold of it until then?
Not at all.
What about
I found
now?
this necklace inside the church.
Many in our... I'll announce...
Do you...
Not at all.
Okay, fine. Well, door, get
I
gloved.
can give this glove back to Miss...
Oh.
Mr. Shoulder. Is Thomasina Bateman here? I'm here in Bewley as
The
discussed.
soundscape is wonderful. This wind.
Maybe try again. His hearing probably isn't the best at his age.
Let's listen closely here. Do we think this wind is like somebody modulating a noise generator and like synthesizing wind, or do we think it's like somebody actually recorded wind? Let's just listen for a second. I'm going to crank my volume. It's at least 2 layers of wind. It might just be 1, actually. Sorry. I think the wind is done with the synthesizer. I think that is a noise-generated wind. And then the chicken sounds. I think that's sampled. I think that's a real chicken sound. And there are 2 of them. And they've done a really good job making this like main chicken sound, then sound like this one. And then there's another one that occasionally goes, and that's this one. Just like beautifully, beautifully articulate sound design. Wonderful. I love it.
Mr. Shoulder. It appears Mr. Shoulder is not at home.
Well, that's not true.
Curses.
Perhaps you could try the handle.
Yeah, so Wirt, I think that, like, this guy as the tempter doesn't make sense with the fact that he hasn't seen us yet. I think that something scary is happening to him that's scaring him away from us. And they're trying to entice us to be afraid of him. I think it's all a swerve. I think we're being misled. Let's look in the window.
No sign of life.
None. The window is nice and clean. The dwelling is by no means abandoned.
Perhaps he's gone for a stroll.
Possibly.
I'd suggest you call back later, my child. I myself must make my way back home. I have some matters to attend to at the church. Shall I accompany you back to Bewley?
No.
No. You go ahead, Father. Thank you.
Fuck off, dude.
As you wish. Farewell, Miss Bateman. I hope Mr. Shoulder finds his way to you.
Thank you.
The
for your
reason
help,
he's
Father
not
Roach.
coming out
My pleasure.
is because you're the
Parting
bad
is
guy.
such sweet sorrow.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. That's probably Romeo and Juliet, right? Wirtz, what do you what do you think? If you're still here. Yeah, Romeo and Juliet. We all agree.
Romeo and Juliet.
Correct. That I shall say good night till it be morrow. Lord be with you.
Well, Mr. Shoulder, you've brought me to Bewley, and now you're nowhere to be found. I've come a long way to please open. This must provide a chance.
Rooster hen
He
hen.
looks much.
I'm like sort of intrigued by what it means that I let this guy go.
I've no desire to lug a block of.
I love this screen. I love the soundscape on this screen. I love the atmosphere here. I would be wrapping up right around now, but I'm going to keep going because I think this is so cool. I'm so into it.
As I trudged back to Bewley across those cold moors, I made a new resolution. I would find Hobbs Barrow myself, with or without Mr. Shoulder. The train! That must be Kenneth. I should go and meet him at the station.
Game saved. First, let's take a look at this plaque.
Margaret's Lookout.
That seems
I
important.
wonder who Margaret is, or was.
Yeah. Oh, it's facing outwards. So that just hung the game until I clicked again. The crow, not available to be clicked this time. I'm guessing that goes back out to the moor.
The moors stretch into the distance. I don't wish to wander aimlessly.
The idea of the moor as like this singularly English kind of subject of horror, I think is like pretty wonderful. I'm from Virginia, so I guess the closest thing would be like the hills or something. But I feel like the moor indicates a different kind of horror. Oh, speaking of which, here's the girl from the ring. Let's talk to her.
Good day, little one. What's your name?
Wally took Myrtle.
Pardon?
He took her and ran off. I hate him.
Is Myrtle one of your dolls?
Yes, my favourite. Mummy made her for me. She's so beautiful. Wally is the worst brother in the whole world.
That's not true. Vicar Roach is the worst
Sorry
brother in
to
the whole
hear
world.
that. What is your name, little one?
Jane.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Jane. My name is Thomasina.
Jane, obviously evil. All right, let's talk about Beck.
This is a lovely little beck.
It's where we get our water, miss. It's good for drinking and cleaning.
That's probably not
Your
true.
dolls look lovely, Jane.
Thank you, miss. I love them very much. Today was their bath day.
Yeah, Beck. So, young lady, will you tell me where it's at? I see you have here 2 turntables and a microphone.
Why did your brother take Myrtle away?
He's just jealous because Daddy is letting me come with him to the market tomorrow. Wally thinks I'm Daddy's favourite, so he took Myrtle from me. What if he rips her to tatters? What if he feeds her to Mr. Bryden's goat?
Don't worry, Jane. I'm sure he wouldn't do such a thing. Where did your brother go?
I don't know. Home, maybe. But I have to wait here for Myrtle's friends to dry out.
Jane, I'm led to believe that you want to give the finger to the rock and roll singer as he's dancing upon your paycheck. I'm also led to believe that the sails climb high to the garbage pail skies like a giant dildo crushing the sun. Is that correct?
Do you know an old man called Leonard Shoulder?
No, miss.
Have you heard of a place
Hey,
called
you heard of this
Hobbs
barrow where I'm going to get murdered by a cat?
I have, yes.
You have?
We aren't supposed to talk about it.
Why not?
Would you like to go there?
Yes, I would very much like to.
I'll tell you where it is if you find Myrtle for me.
You will?
So I have to find the
Yes,
doll? This
but
is such
don't
an
tell
adventure
anyone
game.
about it or I'll
This
be
is
told
so
off.
LucasArts.
I promise.
Please find Myrtle first. I
Okay,
miss
so
her.
this is our first
I will.
real ass puzzle, right? Or
Where do you live?
adventure game
Our home is on the
puzzle.
other side of the village, miss. Maybe Wally went back there. Or maybe he's left her out on the moors. Poor Myrtle. I'm going to kick him so hard.
Where do you live?
Our home is on the other side of the village, miss. Maybe Wally went back there. Or maybe he's left her out on the moors. Poor Myrtle. I'm going to kick him so hard.
Goodbye.
You may
Bye,
think that I
miss.
clicked the same prompt twice. That's where you're wrong. All right, let's find Myrtle. I was like so intrigued by this particular bird up here when the vicar was pretending to be wounded. Oh, it's all happening. Look at how beautiful this is. Like, look at these like shifting pixels up here. The way that there's this like sort of uncanny movement that like as you kind of look at the whole screen genuinely looks like tree branches like blown around by wind. Like, what a nice thing.
No doubt home to many a woodland.
All right, let's trowel it. Let's go. Trowel the
I'm not
hole.
sure what that would achieve.
Oh, okay.
I have no desire to go.
All right. Your loss.
I shall see you
Oh,
later this
my
evening.
God. Congress is happening
Well,
down
I
here.
say.
Well, I
Greetings, my
say.
Hello, sir.
You've
Applause
stirred
on
my
your beauty,
deepest
for I shall
interests.
see you again soon.
Wait.
Before you can
Some
say
nerve.
anything to this monster,
Lady,
he just
you're
disappears.
blushing.
I most certainly am not.
Sorry,
Let's talk.
lass. No way through here today.
Says who?
Who?
Lord Panswick. Now get back before you find yourself under a falling tree.
Tell me
Who
about
is
this
Lord
Panswick.
Our governor.
He's the governor of the whole town.
All right, Owen, back to work now.
He lives in Bewley.
Aye, not far away. But his lordship doesn't like questions. Or visitors. Now please leave us to our work.
What about Leonard Shoulder,
Do you know a
though?
man named Leonard Shoulder?
No, I don't. Can you let me get back to my work now?
What about that dickhead?
Tell me, who was that arrogant man here just now?
Just someone passing by.
It sounded
Why?
like you knew him better than that.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's none of your business.
Well, maybe this will help. I'm Thomasina.
My name is Thomasina Bateman.
Oh, aye? You're not from round here, Thomasina Bateman.
No, just visiting.
How about you?
What is your name, sir?
Horace.
Are you in charge here?
I am indeed.
What are you doing here?
What does it look like I'm doing? We're chopping down trees.
There is no need to be sarcastic.
We're employed by Lord Panswick. He's ordered us to gather logs from his woods. That's what we're doing.
Tell me about what a log is.
Why are you gathering logs for Lord Panswick?
I'm from London. I've never heard
ask
of a log.
questions. If you must know, his lordship is repairing an old ruin on his land. We need the timber for the restoration work.
How intriguing. What type of ruin is Lord Panswick restoring?
An old chapel.
I should rather like to see it.
Not possible. His lordship does not welcome visitors to his estate.
And these are his woods?
Aye. His lordship owns most of the lands around these parts.
Do you know where I can find a place called Hobbs Barrow?
Never heard of it.
Thanks for your time.
We'll be done by tomorrow morning. Come back then if you want to explore the woods.
The section of the game that we're standing in front of will be ungated tomorrow. Meanwhile, I'm out here troweling a hole.
That will help me.
All right, that's worth a shot. Okay, so I need to get a doll for Samara, who lives up here by the thing. I gotta get over to the old railway station, past this atmospheric screen. Oh, good. That animal that got stabbed to death last night works here.
He was supposed to wait for me at the station.
All right, Tillett.
Mr. Tillett.
What's your deal?
Where did you go last night?
Have we met?
Last night at the Plough and Furrow.
Oh, Miss Bateman. I were blind drunk last night and woke up with a stinking headache.
You still smell like a brewery.
I'm sorry.
You went to use the lavatory and never came back, Mr. Tillett.
Well, I was a
everywhere
cat.
For you.
I think I remember you bought me a drink. Then it's all a blur. I woke up in my bed this morning with my wife sour at me for waking her at some ungodly hour.
One second, please, friends. It seems as though the stream dropped. All right, let's wrap up this conversation with Tillett, and then let's call it a night.
About last night. What were you going to tell me about Leonard Shoulder?
Who?
Leonard Shoulder. You told me you knew him, and promised to tell me more if I bought you a drink. Which
Get it
I
more?
did.
It's a pun.
So what were you going to tell me?
I don't really know the old bugger.
But you said you did.
His voice acting is great. I love this rich voice that this guy has.
Note about him. No, note about Leonard Shoulder.
A lot of that, right? I think that she would not be interested in lying to them to prove that she, to sink to their level, but I do think that she would think that they were lying to her.
You're hiding something, Mr. Tillett. I don't believe you.
I say a lot of things when I've got the drink in me.
Yeah, that's true.
I probably just wanted you to buy me an ale.
A likely story.
Look, what would I gain from lying to you? I just wanted another drink.
Even if that's the case, it doesn't explain your disappearance.
I don't remember out.
About last night. You really don't remember where you went last night?
As I say, it's all a blur. I remember needing a piss. Then... nothing. Well, you must have missed me when I came out.
I did not. I even went to the gents' toilets to find you.
Oh, aye. A sight for sore eyes.
It was. I checked everywhere, and you were nowhere to be found. The back door leading to the alleyway was blocked from the outside.
Oh, aye?
Yes. You must have exited through that door, Mr. Tillett.
But you just said it were blocked.
There must be an explanation.
Yeah, Gorgogi, you're absolutely... Okay, gosh. Tillett's still talking.
Why was the door blocked? Did you block it?
I told you I don't remember. I've nought to say because I remember nought.
I love this nout. You know what? You're absolutely right. I should not be besmirching our friend Jeffrey Bezos. I mean, I'm absolutely at the point right now where it's like, if I get an Amazon gift card, I'm like, that's the same as money. That spends about the same as how money spends. So you're right. I should shut my mouth and be grateful for it. Did you see that thing where, like, when people on Twitch were like concerned or upset because Amazon was like limiting the amount that like high-end broadcast or streamers were doing on Twitch, that they like came out with that statement of being like, well, for each streamer on Twitch, this is how much it costs us to like perform our duty that we decided to do on our own. Like, nobody was asking Amazon to do this, to stream their business, and they were like, each streamer on Twitch gets like $900 worth of free streaming or whatever. I don't know why. I don't really know why I brought that up. All I know is that you're right. I should stop. I should stop going after these folks because they're paying so much money for me to talk to the two of you. Okay, Tillett, Leonard Shoulder.
Mr. Shoulder's house.
I found his house, you idiot.
Don't worry. You'll find him.
Yeah, I know I'll find him. He was the guy with the white hair who ran away from me.
It feels like a steam engine is driving full pelt in a circle around me skull.
Be sure to drink plenty of water, Mr. Tillett.
Aye, aye. I'll survive.
So, you work here?
Aye. Bewley Station Master at your service. Would you like to buy a ticket?
Not just yet, thank you. I understand that some of the locals are
I also
not
have
too
no
happy
money.
about this new
I have a
station.
trowel.
Aye. I'd go as far as saying the whole village.
How long has the station been open for?
About 3 months. We're on the Midland Railway line.
Okay, good. This is good background.
Employment's been a saviour for me. If I weren't stood here, I'd be drinking my life away at the pub right now. It's worth the occasional withering look from
You're doing that anyway, though, right? Like, you are still drinking your life away at the pub. Even though you're here right now, you've somehow managed to squeeze into your busy schedule drinking your life away at the pub and also still being a face in the window at the rail line.
What does a station master do?
A bit of this and a bit of that. I don't wish to bore you with such things.
As you wish.
My
I love this music, by the way.
Keep me on the straight and narrow, I'll tell you that much. A sense of duty can do wonders for a lost soul.
That's
indeed
troubling.
This must be a rather lonesome post to occupy.
Trains pass through here more regularly than you might think, lass.
Tell me about Kenneth
I'm
from
looking
30
for
Rock.
my assistant, Kenneth.
Oh, right. No, my assistant.
His train has arrived.
Not a single soul disembarked the last train, Miss Bateman.
Impossible.
It's actually not impossible. What if Kenneth was not in the train? Did you think about that?
Was that not the midday train from London by way of Derby?
Aye, it were. Mr. Price were here. Unloaded a few crates.
But no Kenneth.
Not a soul. Hold on. One of them crates had your name on it, Miss Bateman.
Oh, by the way, your property's here.
A red ribbon.
Aye.
What is Kenneth playing at, sending my equipment but not himself? Curses.
I love that she doesn't get it and we don't get it at the same time, right? It's like there's a very good, very specific reason for why Kenneth is not here. And like the narrative knows it, but she doesn't know it and we don't know it also. Great.
Where is my crate now?
Mr. Price took away all the crates on his cart.
Who?
Mr. Price, he's the postmaster.
Tell me about what it is to be a postmaster.
Where can I find Mr. Price?
He lives above the storeroom, just north of the plough and furrow. You'll see it. There's a Royal Mail plaque on the wall.
Thank you. What can you tell me about Lord Panswick?
Oh, you've heard of his lordship, then?
Oh, everybody hates this guy.
Do you know him?
Aye. He comes into the village from time to time, gives sweets to the children, hires young men to work his land.
Seems bad.
Well liked around here.
Quickly in the running to be the bad guy
I
versus
sense
the
some
vicar.
hesitation, Mr. Tillett.
Well, we kind of have an unspoken agreement with his lordship. He looks after us, provided we leave him alone.
I don't follow.
He likes his privacy.
Well, you
Some
see,
people do.
he's a criminal
No one is allowed
who
to visit him.
abuses people.
Do you mean to say that he's a bit eccentric?
No. I've heard people got fired at when approaching his manor uninvited.
Okay.
Good grief. But is this true?
Well, I won't be the one to find out.
So this conversation is forcing me to reevaluate my steadfast belief that the vicar is the ultimate bad guy. And now I believe that Lord Panswick is ultimately the bad guy. I think that the things that he's doing are probably far worse than anything that we are able to imagine at this moment.
Barrow.
But I really
Hobbs
want to think
Barrow.
the vicar
It's
is the
why
bad
Leonard
guy.
Shoulder invited me to Bewley. He thought I might like to excavate it.
Oh, aye. I heard about a Hobbs Barrow somewhere
Right.
out there. There's some old stories around it.
What
So
stories?
the question is...
I can't remember.
Wait, you're saying the
Mr.
vicar
Tillett,
is Lord
please,
Panswick?
This is important.
I'm awfully sorry, Miss Bateman. I'll try to remember. If he invited you here, then I'm sure Mr. Shoulder will tell you
I have
all
to tell you,
about
I'm
it.
so transfixed
That's
by this
if I ever get to
Panswick
meet him.
is the
I'm
vicar
sure you
story
will.
that I have no idea what Tillett is talking about right now. It was probably really important.
Where can
I'll
I
never
find
know what
Mr.
it is.
Price?
He lives above the storeroom, just north of the plough and furrow. You'll see it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Farewell for now.
Ta-ra!
Okay, so they really want me to go there because they kept that thing alive. Oh yeah, by the way, sorry. This is me, the idiot, like on actual train. Oh look, it's another cat. It's Panswick. They're all cats. The crows are the good guys, the cats are the bad guys. Mark my words. Oh, good. Cyril's here. Fantastic.
Good day to you, Cyril.
I'll do, lass.
Tell me about
What are you
you,
up to,
Cyril.
Keeping an eye on that bleeding railway station. That's what. Thankfully, no one got off the last train.
Really hate that station, don't you?
Oh, I
Yes,
curse
it's a
Midland
symbol
Railway
for the
bringing that
encroaching
damn
power
line
of
through Bewley.
modernity.
This is our town, our land. 'Tis no place for outsiders.
We
So you
seem
keep
threatening,
saying.
but ultimately we're the
Anyway,
victims of
no
the
more
encroaching
trains
power
today.
of the
Almost
onward
time to
march of
celebrate with an
time.
ale, I think.
I could do with one myself.
You paying?
No.
Okay, Markov chainmail. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to be back in about 45 seconds. I would like it if you could throw into chat your thoughts about Return to Oz, if you've got any of them. Anybody else who has any thoughts about Return to Oz, throw them in the chat, but I will be right back. Thank you for your patience. Okay, bye. Hi, I'm back. Okay. Markov chainmail regarding Return to Oz. It is horrifying and wonderful. The exact thing that like a child should not have to watch, and that would only be truly entertaining to a child. I think that's a really good point. Completely agree with you. It's definitely a thing that is not correctly modulated for children, but is like so terrifying that only in such a naive way that only a child could care about it. Gorgogi, I wasn't aware of it. I just looked it up and now I want to see it. I regret not having seen it as a child. I think it's absolutely worth watching. Markov Chainmail, my feeling about this film is that the third act is a bummer compared to the rest of the movie. There's like a set piece at the end that involves like a lot of claymation and a lot of like a lot of a face animating. That may be something that's familiar to you. And I think that's a bummer. I think that stuff kind of sucks. I think that the villain, who is played by a human, there's this lady in this movie who has certain things that she does. She takes on certain different identities over the course of the film. And I think that the way that villain in Return to Oz is presented is like, at least for me, I don't want to tell anybody else how it is that they felt, but like for me as a kid, seeing how like beautiful that person was and how terrifying that person was in that movie, shook me in a way that I kind of like have difficulty actually articulating. I think Fairuza Balk as Dorothy is like a truly inspired choice that taps into something about the idea of like Dorothy Gale as a character who is like always an alien in whatever space she is, that she's like spending time in. She's neither at home in Oz nor in Kansas, right? She's like kind of a character out of place in whatever location she's in. I think that Fairuza Balk is like the perfect casting for that kind of thing. And I think that TikTok as a supporting character, with like this bronze, like sort of spherical, clockwork figure, makes the sort of cliche of clockwork, steampunk, low technology automaton characters. It brings that home for me, and I think it's like, I think all the time about the scene at the beginning of the movie where she turns the key into TikTok, and the key has cobwebs wrapped around it, and she turns the key many times as the cobwebs get tighter and tighter and tighter until they break and he comes to life. I think that's like, even if you don't like the rest of the movie, like is legitimately phenomenal. Like is like an indelible, like immortal, like that's an image that you make a movie for. If you can make something as cool as the cobwebs wrapping themselves around, it's like that's worth an hour and a half of a movie for me, just for how dramatic that is. Anyway, let's talk to this guy who is the only trustworthy person in this thing. I love the idea of him having 3 different things to wind up to. Action, speech, and thinking. Absolutely. Very TTRPG. I agree. I totally agree. I think it's like an evolution of the Scarecrow. It's like kind of an evolution of like all 3 of the sort of like iconic characters of the Wizard of Oz, but like located in one awesome character. I love it. Anyway, this insane person wants to tell us about Leonard Shoulder.
I found Mr. Shoulder's house today, but he wasn't home.
Why the bleeding hell should I care, lass?
Oh, he's the best.
I'm looking for Hobbs Barrow. Do you know where it is?
Mind your own business, lass.
You really are quite helpful, aren't you?
No, he's the good guy.
Goodbye.
He's the one person whose opinion on anything you can trust, because he sees through you. He sees through the whole thing. I like that we're in a slightly open world. So if we go up here, we're going to see Samara by the, yeah, okay. So we got to find a doll. The doll is south of town. She's told us that. I can't go south of town. If I go over here, I get to the actual town square. There's the blacksmith. He's a rube. He's an idiot. I can't go south of here. Here's these doofuses. What if I go up here? Oh, there's
that must be the postmaster's storeroom.
Oh, okay, good. Well, let's talk to Man.
Hello.
Good day. I haven't seen you in Bewley before.
I'm just visiting.
Lovely. It's nice to see a new face. We don't get many visitors. My name's Henry. Henry Long.
Nice to meet you, Henry. Thomasina Bateman.
Wonderful. What a treat.
Okay, here's how I draw all of this Wizard of Oz conversation to be relevant to what it is that we are doing right now on this stream. So this game is published but not developed by Wadjet Eye Games. Right? This is not a Dave Gilbert Wadjet Eye Games production, but it is a published by deal. I believe that Wadjet Eye Games published the point-and-click adventure game about the Wizard of Oz, Emerald City Confidential. They did not develop it, but they did publish it. Bam, check that out. Is that helpful content? Probably not. So that's the connection, is that Wadjet Eye Games as a publisher is on the forefront of redefining whatever Wizard of Oz, etc. Okay,
you seem in a good mood, Mr. Long.
It's just lovely to see a new face. Where are you from, Miss Bateman?
I'm not going to lie to anybody.
Originally,
all of these people seem harmless to
town on
me.
the outskirts of Derby, Mr. Long, though I currently reside in London.
London? I've never met anyone from London. How very exciting. Have you lived there a long time?
It's been quite a few years now, yes.
I've heard that the air there is so heavy with smoke, it makes it hard to breathe.
Interesting.
Is that true?
Some days.
Oh, you must miss the fresh northern air. Well, you've got that in Bewley. No factories out here. Such things are a blight on his creation.
So a lot of the
born in this very home I stand in front of.
Shut the fuck up,
Bewley
dude.
is in
Just
my blood.
Can it?
Why would I ever want to
Oh my God.
leave? Especially now I can meet new folk thanks to the railway line.
Lies. This guy's a liar. Okay, so a lot of the fear that these people in this rural environment have to people coming in through the railroad from London is that they are worried about their world being destroyed. London is a stand-in for environmental disaster. So this person is afraid of the world being torn apart. His world being literally made uninhabitable because of this avatar of urban life.
I'm looking for...
Oh, mister, I'm afraid you've...
Where?
I don't know. I know. No, you must be...
Okay. I feel like I've gone through all that.
Do you know a man
Great.
named Leonard Shoulder?
Aye. Funny old fellow. I hear he lives way out on the moors somewhere.
Have you seen him recently?
No.
I love these pauses.
Why do you ask?
It's a long story, but I was to meet him in Bewley. He invited me here.
Well, I must thank him when I see him for inviting such an enchanting young woman.
You flatter me, Mr. Long.
No. No. The first person that we saw here was so drunk and wanted to, like, assault us so deeply. Like, nobody who is hitting on me is I'm going to be charmed by.
I'm
Absolutely
looking for
not.
Hobbs Barrow.
One of those old burial hills.
Yes. Do you know where it is?
Believe it or not, I haven't set foot on the moors since I were a child.
Why is that?
I've got all I need right here in Bewley. And we're all truly blessed with the railway station.
This guy's a
which brings us
creep.
Lovely new faces.
This guy's such a creep. Everybody else here, at least Tillet as like a weird drunk who maybe got stabbed to death and turned into a cat or whatever. At least he is miserable. This guy here as like the I love it here in this small town guy is just like the deception is going off so aggressively.
Your opinion of the railway station differs widely from your fellow townsfolk, Mr. Long.
Right, he's a
Have you
liar.
met anyone particularly keen on it?
That railway line is the start of a new era for Bewley. Mark
Liar.
my words. There's much
Liar.
to protect here, but we need
Liar.
new blood. I hope that some of you visitors will actually stay here permanently.
Liar.
Why is that?
So I have new friends to
Liar.
talk to.
Psychopath. Sociopath.
Some people here
Lunatic.
don't want any new friends. Cyril Farnaby, the miserable old sod, is the worst.
Cyril's a good guy. You're a lunatic. You're awful. Cyril is obviously a good
I've had
guy.
the pleasure of meeting
No.
Cyril.
You don't get it,
He really
Thomasina.
dislikes the railway
No,
station.
Cyril's good.
Absolutely miserable. He
No.
is. I've
No.
tried to convince him many times that the station will
No.
help Bewley. He just doesn't understand.
I met him last night in the Plough and
Yeah,
Furrow.
no, he was good then.
The scene of our many debates. Blimey. I could go for an ale.
No,
right
you
now,
couldn't.
actually.
You're a liar. You have no feelings.
Can I buy you a drink?
Really?
No. Wait. Do you think Mr. Kemp will let me open a tap?
Perhaps. You could always ask him. I shouldn't leave anyway. Mr. Price is relying on me to keep watch of his storeroom.
Goodbye.
All right.
Don't be a stranger.
Well, it's time for me to open this door.
The postmaster isn't home. If you're looking to collect your post, you'll have to wait until he gets back.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just go. Okay, so there's this sword weirdo and his delightfully misanthropic sister. There's this guy who hates me. Let's just hang out in the old
I suspect the
old thing.
lavatory window. I'd rather not go into those horror.
All right. There's a dog. Haven't gone here. Hey, look, it's the sword boy.
Hello there. My name's Thomasina.
Yeah?
What's yours?
Wally?
Jane
What do you know
tells
about
me
Myrtle?
you've taken Myrtle away.
And what if I did?
That's a bit mean, don't you think?
She kicked me! Look at this bruise on my leg!
That does look quite bad. Why did she kick you?
Because she's a little goblin. You don't know what she can be like. Besides, Myrtle is
don't.
gone now. I've given her to the fair folk. That'll teach her.
Okay. More pagan influence in this world.
Who
Let's talk about the
are
fair folk.
The fair folk.
The little people of the moors. I gave Myrtle to them.
Little people. You don't mean fairies, do you?
We call them fair folk round here.
Wally, there is no such thing as fairies.
It's true, and I gave him a doll.
Okay. Do you know Leonard
Do you
Shoulder?
know a man called Leonard Shoulder?
No,
Where can I find these fair folk?
follow the tinkle of their tiny bells. I hear 'em when the wind dies. They dance around their little house.
But where is this little house?
Just listen for the bells, you'll find it. Don't think about
That
bringing
seems
that
important.
doll back. That'll just bring bad luck for all of us.
I'm sorry, kid. I'm a protagonist in a horror story. I'm gonna do the thing that you're warning me against doing. I'm gonna get the doll. I'm gonna bring it to your creepy ghost sister, and the warnings that you've given me are going to go unheeded. Is that cool with you?
What do you know about Lord Panswick?
I heard he owns the whole county.
Have you met him?
No, he lives out on the moors somewhere. But everyone does what he tells them to.
Why's that?
Because he has a lot of money.
Money?
Have you heard of a place called Holm?
No, he's a child.
No,
Goodbye.
No, fuck off. See ya. Oh, look
Road
at this
disappears over the
screen.
horizon. I see nothing but moorland.
Look at this beautiful. Look at how. Do you see her down there? I'm gonna try to click back on this screen. Hopefully she goes there. Look at how
The
tiny
road
she is down
disappears
here.
Over the horizon.
Look at
I
how
see nothing but
tiny she
moorland.
is. And how everything else has gotten abstracted. It's just gorgeous. It's just like this pixel art is such a perfect way of representing the sort of hazy lack of knowledge that we have about these moors. It's so awesome. Like, I think it's so cool.
I don't think anyone is home.
Alright. Is there another screen here that I can go to?
No one here.
This music is so wonderful to me. Let's check out this plaque. I love this game. This game is working for me so... Oh, well, you're the bad guy, so it's going to be in here.
I don't think anyone is home.
Alright, whatever. Let's go over here. Oh, it's you, the lunatic. I'm going to keep going for a little bit longer tonight, folks. I typically would wrap this up by now, but I'm so invested and I just want to get a little bit deeper into this game past the kind of like past the sort of setup stage of this. Look how I'm double clicking and moving to the end of a screen. What? Shades of King Quest V, there's a red squirrel moving around? No? Is there a net? Do I have a net? Is there a glove? Can I put the glove in the hole? No, probably not. Right, there's these guys, and they're like, get out of here. Alright, so my whole thing about, like, I want to get past this sort of setup and into the horror of the situation is maybe going to be impeded by the fact that I'm an idiot and don't know how to solve a puzzle. Here I'm at the railway. Hey, you, dork.
Where can I find...
He lives above the... You'll see it.
Thank you. Farewell for now.
Ta-ra.
Look at these, like, Lovecraftian weeds over here. I'm just trying so hard to make this, like... Listen, the horror of this moment. What if I check out this door?
I don't
sure,
think anyone...
graphically it's telling me that I shouldn't care about any of this, but I'm lost, and I'm gonna just click on whatever random stuff. If anybody has any ideas of things I should do, I'm a little... Oh my goodness.
I'm right here, you tough bugger.
Oh, apologies.
Oh, there's a comedy bit back there. If anybody has any ideas about what it is that I should do, I'm now at the point where I am asking chat for help. Because it is frankly too late at night and I am too much of a dummy to know what I'm doing. Maybe the vicar is at the church. The vicar, parentheses, the ultimate bad guy of this story is at the church. If you have any thoughts of things I should do, I will take those thoughts. Do you think this game has a hint system? To do. Okay. So maybe I should head out to the moor. Maybe that's what this thing is directing me towards. I have to tell you, like, there's a typical feeling of helplessness that comes from playing point and click adventure games without anybody watching you.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
Goodbye.
See you later.
Bye, man.
Actually, did you have anything to say to me? Yes. How about Lord Panswick?
You know?
He gave me some sweets once. My friend says that Lord Panswick has special treat. You think meat?
Okay.
Goodbye.
See you later.
Goodbye.
Weirdo. Like, if you think that being stalled out in an adventure game is frustrating when you are just playing on your own and you're the typical kind of idiot that I am, that's one level of frustration. When you have people watching you and you're worried that you're wasting their time and just clicking random buttons all over the place, let me tell you, that's another level of insecurity that I don't think that the brain of the human being was meant to deal with. Especially in an incoherent sort of like quasi three-dimensional space like this one. Go. Get out of here.
The moors stretch into the distance. I don't wish to wander aimlessly.
Well, sorry, you got no choice. That's all I can do right now. So if you have any thoughts about things I should do... Margaret, that's the dedication on the stool. I guess I haven't been here before. How did I get to Mr. Shoulder's house? Oh, there's a fresh grave. That's probably important. Let's check that out.
This appears to be a recently dug, unmarked grave.
Yeah, so Gorgogi, I agree with you. I always get to this point too, and it's
This
like
appears to
my dream, my hope. Oh, well, that's a fairy
better not
mushroom
touch
deal. No, but
It looks
here's
like
what you should
something
do.
has been buried in the middle.
Yeah, it's a doll, you idiot. Use a trowel. Okay, we solved the problem. Let me flash back to my childhood when my father died. Oh, this game! Look at this art! Are you kidding me? Look at this art!
Place. What happened the last time you left your dolly under the tree?
A fox ate it, madame.
Yes, it did. Fetch it now, won't you? Then I'll fix your supper.
Yes, madame.
What did she just say to me? Mrs. Bogus, what did you just say?
What's for supper, madame?
It'll be nothing but a glass of water and a worm if you don't...
I have to find a dolly. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make inventory. I've got nothing. So here's what I'm going to do.
Fairy.
I'm going to talk to the fairies. There's a statue. Hello! Oh, it's my
There
dolly,
you are,
Josephine.
I won't let the foxes eat you.
So here's the thing, is that it's like, adventure games like this are tricky.
Who's that you have there, little bird?
Josephine. She introduced me to the fairies.
Oh, fairies, you say?
Yes, Daddy.
Do you believe in fairies?
Of course. Do you see those mushrooms over there?
No, I don't.
Yes?
Oh, he
That's
does.
the gateway to their kingdom. That's where Josephine and I go to talk to the fairies.
Now, listen to me, Thomasina.
Yes?
You're old enough now to hear this. There's no such thing as fairies or talking dolls.
No, but he's
my
an
little
idiot.
bird.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry, my dear child. I do not wish to upset you. I just want to make sure that you understand the difference between fantasy and reality. Josephine is just a doll.
Okay, okay.
And fairies do not exist.
Okay.
But, Daddy...
Science is the great antidote to the poison of enthusiasm and superstition. Please always remember that.
Okay, well,
If
you're
you hear
clearly like
anything
not a
about
trustworthy
fairies
source
or
of
the like
authority.
again, know that it's hogwash.
Okay, so fairies are real. We just learned that.
What is it?
Great. Okay, so I am the father of a 3.5-year-old
Did Wally
child.
bury the doll, I wonder?
And he's trying to sort out right now the difference between make-believe and, oh, well, that seems bad. It's like, it's almost as though
This
there's a
must be
man
Jane's
made out
ragdoll.
of leeches. Well, here I am. Let's take it.
Perhaps these wriggling worms are the fair folk young Wally
Oh,
was
you're
so
such an
fearful
idiot.
of.
You don't understand how real everything is. But I have a son who is
How
3...
strange. There is a hairpin pierced through the arm. This may come in handy. I'll keep it.
Great.
At least I shall not return from Bewley empty-handed.
She's so great. My child regularly points out, like, donkeys stand like this, and he stands in the way that he thinks a donkey stands. And then he'll say, donkeys are real. And I'll say, yeah. And he'll say, dragons are pretend. And I'll say, you're right, dragons are pretend. And then he'll play with something else, and he'll play with like his Duplos, and he'll say, Duplos are real. And I'll say, yeah, Duplos are real. And he'll say, and dragons are pretend. And I'll say, that's right, Duplos are real, but dragons are pretend. I hope that I don't seem like I'm coming off like making fun of my child. I really don't mean to be doing that. Like, I do think that having a kid has been like singularly appealing and fun and funny and exciting and cool, and has been a great use of my time since I got fired. But it's the best, and the way that he distinguishes between real and pretend are fantastic, and I love them.
I'm not sure what that would achieve.
What do you mean you're not sure that would achieve?
I present to you Myrtle.
Myrtle!
Now I can escape from my well and not make videotapes to murder people.
Now, I believe we had a deal.
Hide and seek!
Come
Yeah,
back.
sure. I'll seek you, no problem. That's definitely...
In moments like these, I thank myself for not having children.
So, I do think that that's like a point where we're meant to be alienated from Thomasina as a character.
They aren't mine to...
Can I go somewhere? Can I check out back?
The water is...
Yeah, I love the way...
A sharp hairpin. Could be useful.
Okay, have we seen something that we need something sharp? Does the vicar have another wound? Oh my god, look at this weirdo.
Hey!
Hey. God, they're really breadcrumbing us through this situation, aren't they? My guess is that she's near the thing that says
Jane?
giggle. You're about to get troweled, MRFer.
I was always happiest with a trowel in my hand.
She's so intense.
Uncovering hidden worlds within the earth
Thomasina,
itself,
just chill
clod
out.
by clod.
I was always happiest
do it.
robbing graves. Oh, hell
Jane.
yeah. Time to get buried alive in a bunch of dirt. Do I have a light? Let me tell you about my letters,
No,
darkness.
That won't achieve anything.
Okay, just kidding. Let me tell you about the cross.
No.
Let me tell you about a bunch of hairpins. Let me tell you about a glove. Let me tell you about a key.
Can't see.
Okay. Well,
Jane?
see you later,
Can't
Jane.
see a damn...
She needs a light source. Okay, so Gorgogi, yeah, pump out. But here's the thing. Let me just, like, make this pitch to you. Twitch, right? Okay, first off, she needs to chill the hell out. But, like, in the past, you would have had to call the Sierra Online game tip line or whatever, and you would have spent... Look, I'm just pulling a number out of thin air here. You would have spent $1.59 per minute to like work your way through a phone tree to talk to somebody. But you and I here right now, I am as the person using the mouse to like click the buttons and move Thomasina around and all this other stuff. Like I am right now the person on the front lines here, and I am not able to process all of the possible things that this game is asking of me. But that is not something that you as a audience member need to contend with. You are able to come up with fanciful ideas and present them. And that's actually like the reason why I think this, for me, for the thing that I want to do right now, this style of game, this non-systems driven, the fact that everything that we're doing right now is entirely like bespoke, created by the narrative. Everything that can happen right now is something that somebody wrote to be able to happen. It's not like Citizen Sleeper where there are a bunch of clocks, there are a bunch of skill checks, there are a bunch of dice, etc., etc., etc. There are all these systems. Where if you tell me to do something, I'm not going to know what it is that I want to do. But in this purely narrative game, if you have an idea for something that I should do, it is 100% going to be better than the non-idea that I have right now.
Farewell for now.
Ta-ra.
Like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I need a light source.
The blacksmith is right.
So if you have any ideas, absolutely share them with me, is what I'm saying. because there are things happening here right now that I'm not able to keep control of.
I must say,
do I have a light
a
source in
decorative
here?
plate. I don't wish to take it. The wardrobe, I've hung my side from that. Jammed shut.
Lantern,
stored
old
up-
torch, British torch. So the closest candle on my bed. That's a great choice. Let's check that out. So the thing I was looking for was that in the lavatory there's a couple of things of lamp
Candle
light.
has melted. Perhaps Mr. Kemp will replace it this evening.
Matchbox seems good though.
Complimentary
Okay.
matches. Useful.
So Gorgogi, you
There's only one match left.
just
though.
now perfectly proved my point. I would not have thought to look at those candles, and I know you didn't say literally matchsticks. You said candle. I clicked candle. It didn't do anything. Matchsticks. Those matchsticks are
There is a
certainly,
single match remaining inside.
absolutely going to be part of the solution to this issue that we have. So that's like a perfect proof of concept for what I'm saying, which is like, I feel like a lot of Twitch streaming is it's like you want to watch somebody trying to play an action game and they're going to fuck up because they're an idiot and they can't click the button correctly or whatever, right? But that's not what we're doing here. We here at Tabletop Gold care about narrative and systems-driven gameplay.
Nobody home.
And the fact that you said candle drove me towards this matchstick.
The road disappears.
And here's this screen that I've clicked on a million times. Okay, so here's the next stage of this issue is we're gonna try to head on over. Okay, this lunatic. We're going to try
The
to
cross
head.
denotes this.
Is there a bird? That's nothing. We're going to head back to this hole, and we're going to see if the matchstick is going to be enough light to get us through that particular obstacle. And I hope it is, because could I get a candle at the church? Let's try it out. Why not, right? I believe that we scoured the church for everything that it was worth.
It's locked.
Candlesticks, 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 box pews. She's going to remark about how tall they are because they're getting climbed by... Locked?
Locked as well.
What?
I think they all might be.
Pews are locked? Can you lock a pew? Okay, so here's what I'm going to try. First thing I'm going to try, and if this succeeds, this is going to be the end of the stream tonight, is I'm going to try to use this matchstick to infiltrate this hole. As a noted hole infiltrator, I think this is going to work out just fine. Let's go. Okay. Darkness. That's enough. That's what we're doing.
Curses. The useless thing.
Well, now I'm out of... Are you kidding me? Ah! What if we use the hairpin on the darkness? Okay. Anybody have any other ideas? I just used... Okay,
There's
Horace.
nothing else.
What about
I'll
you,
let him
man?
go.
What about
I'll
you,
let him go.
man?
I can't think.
Okay. That was the saddest thing that ever happened to me, and now I'm out of matches. And now I'm gonna get eaten by a Lovecraftian cat. Hey, Cyril, do you know anything about light?
Good day to you, Cyril.
I'll do, lass.
What about Henry Long?
What do you make of Henry Long?
An idiot who thinks that station's a good idea. Can you imagine? Strangers pouring into Bewley. Turns the stomach, that does.
Maybe he has a point. You could travel.
Bah! You're an outsider. I'd expect you to have such a bad opinion. But Henry, he's a Bewley lad. We've had the odd Barney or two in the pub over it all.
I can imagine.
I've had the old Barney
buy you
with
a
a
drink,
number of
Cyril?
folks.
Well,
Oh, wait. I don't have any money.
well, I'm not buying you a drink.
Please?
You must think I'm daft.
Cyril's obviously the good
Can I buy
guy,
you
right?
Well,
please?
you...
Goodbye.
What if I give you a hairpin? What if I stab you with
I'm
a
not sure that-
cross? What if there were a glove and
I'm
I
not sure
slapped you across the face with it? And here I go, back to the train station. Hey,
Where can
Henry.
You'll see it.
Thank you.
Okay, this dude is
Farewell.
driving me repeatedly towards the postmaster. Here I am, back in the bucket territory.
The bucket is rusty and... This must be...
I also am rusty and full of holes. I clicked
Good
on one of
day.
these
Hello.
humans, and it's a mess.
What do you...
Not a lot. Not ever. I just want to know.
Goodbye.
Hey, so does Stanley have anything to say to me? This reminds me of a very good Jacob Geller video about these kinds of games where you end up being willing to try literally everything. The thing is that I think that this game is like... oh, gosh.
I'm sorry to ask this.
Can I have a tab?
I'm afraid my assistant hasn't... He must have put the money in my crate, which
Sorry, I'm
is currently
skipping through
being held
text
in
'cause
Mr.
I'm
Price's
impatient.
storeroom.
Well, as you know, I run an honest establishment here, and I do trust you.
All it
So
took is
yes,
being rich.
I'll open an account for you, to be settled at the end of your stay.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Kemp.
All it took
Now
was
then,
privilege.
I'll be needing something of value as a deposit.
What if I give you a
I thought you said you
hairpin?
trusted me.
Aye, it's not personal, lass. One can never be too cautious.
Goodbye.
See,
Okay, so you want an item from me. Let me tell you about something involving a hairpin.
I probably shouldn't.
What if I tell you about this cross that I found?
Will you
can I take a closer look at it? Aye, silver. That'll do.
I'm good at these games.
Thank you, Mr. Kemp.
I might
Can
not
I
be
get you
good
something
at
to
a lot
drink?
of things, but I'm good at this. Not right
Not
now.
right now,
Clear
Mr.
head,
Kemp.
As you
idiot.
were.
Let's get Cyril and let's get him fucking wasted. And then let's end this stream. What do you say? I typically do 2-hour streams. I've done what I like to call a 3-er because I'm so transfixed by this, the beautiful game. Exit. Hey Cyril, what if I paid for you getting drunk?
Good day to you, Cyril.
I'll do, lass.
Goodbye.
Ta-ra.
Okay, hold on a
Good day
second.
to you,
I clicked the
Cyril.
wrong
I'll
thing.
do, lass.
All
Can I buy
right.
you a drink, Cyril?
Now,
Yes.
go on then, lass.
Follow me.
Follow me. Time for me to get you drunk. Zippy zippy zoo.
So then he turns around and says, "Why is a dog like a tree?" And I says, "I don't know." And he says, "Because they both lose their bark once they're dead."
No, I
Very
don't.
droll, Cyril. Well, it's been a pleasure, but I must be off.
Aye, lass. Ta for the drink. You're not too bad for an outsider.
No, but Cyril, seriously, will you tell me something of value?
Thanks again. Now leave.
Okay. Well, I keep trying to find a pivotal moment to end this stream on, and I keep failing.
Hello? What can you tell?
Naught to say, except don't be sniffing around. You'll end up with a round.
I beg your pardon.
You, just mind your...
Goodbye.
Okay. Well, what do you say we call that a that, shall we? Friends, I have had a blast tonight playing this game. I started off extremely spooked, and now I have been extremely adventure gamesed. I don't know exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. I've sort of lost a little bit of the tension in this story, but I'm still having a great time, and I'm very excited about where it is that we're going. Right, friends? Isn't this fun? It's October. What various people called the spooky season. I felt spooked at the beginning of this stream, and now I feel confounded because I don't know what to do with the various items that I've collected from the locations. I do feel confident with a couple of things, though. One, Vicar Roach is the bad guy. Two, Vicar Roach is turning everybody into a cat. 3, fairies are real. 4, that might be it ultimately. That might be the only conclusions that I feel comfortable getting to. Oh, 4, whatever isn't... Okay, hold on. 4, Hobbs, Barrow, Thomasina is... robbing graves. Ultimately, this is a critique of modernity. 1, it's a critique of the British Empire. 2, and it's a critique, I think, ultimately of the British Museum. It's ultimately a commentary on how we take things from places that we have no ultimate claim to. But also, beyond that, the clean slate. 1, the music is fantastic in this game. This game has incredible music, great atmospheric tunes that absolutely set the tone and are used very deliberately to accomplish very specific ends. 2, this game has great graphics. The way that it uses slightly archaic, whatever, for me, I'm the oldest person you've ever met, but uses archaic graphics to connect to the sort of like emotional stiltedness and the lack of connection inherent to this Victorian setting is a brilliant confluence of style and substance. 3, this game might have puzzles that are too hard for me. And that's the end. Friends, thank you so much for watching this stream. I have been Lars Castine. You have been watching a Tabletop Gold stream. We have a podcast, Tabletop Gold. It's a Pathfinder 2nd edition podcast. A production of the Abomination Vaults. I think it's great. I think you're going to love it. If you like narrative games, if you like systems-driven games, if you like rolling dice, etc., if you like ghosts, I think you'll like this show. I hope you had a good time tonight watching the stream, and I hope that you enjoy our podcast if you check it out. Regardless, it's been fun. I had a great time, and I hope you have a great time from here on out. I will see you later, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Goodbye.